Anna hired a worker who is amazingly good at peeling onions. Even when he rubbed his eyes with his hands, he was still fine. This man is very strange. It must have been painful to clean, but he didn't shed a single tear. He peeled several buckets of onions and was still fine. But Anna, like an ordinary person having peeled only one onion, already burst into tears. In fact, this girl is very strong and brave. She looks after the field where the crops for the whole village are grown. And she is not afraid when thieves come to take a few potatoes, because these potatoes were supposed to feed the whole village. Anyone who bullies, tries to steal, or make fun of Anna will definitely get punished. She made these thieves return all the potatoes that were not thrown away so they thought they could leave in peace. But Anna made them pay when the fertilizer came in. They couldn't just walk away and ruin their potato field. These men certainly weren't expecting this when they came here. They had no money, so she made them take off their clothes. They were in no hurry to undress, so she decided to help them. This girl is really crazy. This time they just ran away. Next time she'll be like this and turn into scarecrows. These thieves left shovels and rope at the site, so it is obvious that they did not actually come here for potatoes. It's been 3 years since this country lost the war, and taxes are still high. People who lost limbs in the war also lost their jobs. A lot of strange rumors began to spread. They say that bloodthirsty princes are moving around the area, killing their own people. It is also said that missing soldiers are eaten by enemy troops. There are also rumors that a huge treasure is buried in the communal farm of this village. It can't be that these guys were just hunting for potatoes. Most likely they were hunting for the so-called treasure. But in reality, these are just fertile lands and nothing more. Anna has a big restaurant, so she decided to take the potatoes there. But when it was getting closer, she noticed that a lot of people had gathered near the restaurant. When she realized that these guys were trying to fight near her restaurant, she immediately ran towards them. She knew these guys. They were villagers after all, and now they were aggressively attacking some suspicious guy who didn't want to leave the threshold of the restaurant. And everything he said didn't make sense. Anna easily drove away this annoying company. After all, if they were bothering her clients, then she should take care of it herself. She came closer to that very man. He was sitting, not paying attention to anyone. He didn't create any commotion, but for some reason he gave off such a heavy aura, as if he were a bear. As soon as he looked at Anna, she was shocked. After all, she saw such sunken cheeks and a thin face. She felt so sad. And from her sad face, everyone already understood that she would again try to feed some homeless person. Anna, with a smile on her face, invited this guy to a restaurant and said she would feed him for free. But he didn't come here for the food, so he refused. Anna said that she found these potatoes on the way here, and if no one eats them, she will have to throw them away. It will be a pity. The guy thought for a little while longer before following her. Why does everyone think this guy is so weird? He has a secret. He was once a prince, and the magicians did something to him. It was like a curse. The prince will never be able to smile or cry again. He will no longer be able to express anger. The burning rage will either consume him from within or be directed into a blade aimed at his enemies. Instead of his heart, dragon bones were implanted in him, which became his new heart. But from that moment on, he will no longer be able to express emotions. Even on the day he takes his father's body from the battlefield and holds a funeral, not a single tear will fall. And when people see a prince who neither cries nor smiles, they will call him a monster. So the prince gave up his emotions for the sake of the nation. From that day on, he threw himself into the battlefield, but after 6 years, the war ended in defeat. The young men who went to war did not return home, and the country was deserted. Even the means of subsistence were taken away for the war effort. The inhabitants had no choice but to live in despair every day. To quell the chaos in the kingdom, Duke Seidel, the younger brother of the late king, ascended to the throne. He performed the duties of the king, and no one objected to his coronation. The prince, who had lost all senses and had not shed a tear, even at the funeral of the late king, was no longer first in line to the throne. He was just a monster swallowed by the sword. Thus, the prince of the country who led the war became nothing more than a trigger, evoking memories of the conflict. For the duke, who was busy stabilizing the situation in the country, the prince was a nuisance, and it was decided to temporarily remove him from state affairs. The unexpected principal was granted a long and indefinite leave. As a result, he now found himself in this village. Anna talked him into going to a restaurant to eat, and as soon as this guy stood up, everyone was shocked by how huge he was. He was so big that he couldn't even fit through all the doors, and it was a little scary. Anna immediately started cooking food for this guy. She didn't even skimp on the bacon and cheese. This guy and very quickly, as if he didn't even want to. And after he ate everything, he greeted the girl and said his name, Bertram. Anna also introduced herself to him. Her last name is Bert. She runs a communal farm in this village and is also the owner of this restaurant. When she asked if the food was tasty, Bertram coldly said it was good food. And then he took out some crumpled, dirty piece of paper from his cape. Originally, it had to be written on a special kind of form, but it still has theoretical force. It is a bill of exchange. Bertram got this during the war when the documents ran out, so it was written on the remaining paper. Anna didn't understand why he was giving her this paper at first, and then she saw her father's signature on it, Hans Bert. Bertram came to this man, but he did not know that Hans had passed away several years ago. Anna said that she could accept this object instead of her father. Bertram has to return the item that was lost, so he wanted to ask Mr. Burt directly about the cost and compensation. He drew the item on paper. Anna thought it was a regular onion, but Bertram insisted it wasn't. Also, Mr. Burt said it was a special bulb prepared for farming, but it wasn't an onion. Anna didn't know what he meant, and frankly, it didn't matter anymore. She said that there was no need to pay for it and no need to feel burdened. However, this was unacceptable to Bertram and he insisted on repaying the debt. Anna did not even know what price to set, and she asked the guy to just eat and leave. Bertram stubbornly insisted that he must pay the amount she named, no matter what that amount was. She was already irritated. She didn't want to negotiate and was ready to throw this guy away. But her intentions didn't matter to him. He was just going to pay the debt as she asked. Anna was already furious, and the guy didn't know what to do, and then asked her not to feel burdened. This only made the girl even more angry. He irritated her so much that she decided that he could repay the debt with his body. Anna Burt is overly kind and warm-hearted. After the war, there were many wounded soldiers. Anna never met them. She was not afraid to approach them and invite them to her restaurant, offering them free food. She fed them and gave them work on the farm. Eventually, they found a way to return to their hometown when their bodies were put on display. Some even settled in this village thanks to Anna. But she has a childhood best friend, Dito, and he thinks that this should only have been done when there were not enough people on the farm after the war. But now it's time to stop taking anyone again. Now there are enough workers in the village. Anna constantly, carefreely accepted people from the street, not knowing anything about them. Dito did not like this at all, and he even practiced a speech that if she continued to act like this, her husband would hate her. Everyone has already gotten used to Dito's strange behavior when he talks to himself. He decided that he had spoken too quickly about his husband and simply wanted to change his speech. Then, having gained confidence, he entered Anna's restaurant and shouted in disappointment that she had brought some beggar again. It hasn't been a day since she picked someone up because she felt sorry for them. It's time to stop doing that. Dito shouted about it so loudly that he didn't even notice. The one she picked up heard it all. This guy was so huge that even Dito was worried about his safety. Anna said that it was Bertram, the new employee at the restaurant, and she wanted him to say hello to Dito too. But Bertram ignored her because he was licking the plate, so she had to use physical force. Dito stood aside in shock, not understanding how she could treat this giant like an ordinary dog. And in general, the face of this huge guy was terrifying. Bertram greeted him, gave his name and said that he was paying his debt to Mr. Hans, peeling onions, and was not close to Anna. Dito calmed down a little because at least this guy's voice was pleasant, and then he thought that he had heard the name Bertram somewhere before. But Bertram had also heard the name Dito many times and had met 7 people with that name. Dito was so angry that he simply changed the subject and asked what debt they were talking about, since Mr. Hans had no assets to give a loan to. Anna hit her friend and said that he was wrong, and besides, he had a bill. Bertram explained to him that it was a debt that could not be repaid materially, so he was repaying it with his body, as Anna had once wished. Dito had already started to come up with better scenarios, but it turned out that Bertram simply peeled onions better than anyone else. Anna suggested that her friend have onion soup or an onion sandwich, an onion steak, or an onion omelet. She made Bertram peel the onions, and he did not shed a tear and peeled them perfectly. Anna was amazed and kept asking him, because there were so many onions. Bertram even licked his plate after the onion soup. Anna was flattered and thought the food was so good that he licked the plate clean when he was full. But it turned out that this was because it was difficult to wash dishes if they were dry. He ate himself, then went and washed the dishes. Dito was increasingly surprised by the size of this guy. Plus, his hands were so big as if he could just break these dishes. But Anna wanted to trust him, even though others were afraid of this man and all his scars. Dito even began to assume that it was unlikely that this was simply because of the war, and perhaps it was a criminal who had escaped. Anna didn't care. Now she had one task especially for her friend. She asked him to peel the potatoes with a spoon, since he had come here. Dito, of course, refused, because there are workers for that. But Bertram's hands are too big, so he constantly cuts the potatoes in half. But the potatoes that Dito peels fit perfectly in his hands. This way, she was able to get her friend to peel the potatoes. There is only one restaurant in this village, and it is owned by Anna. Although there is no sign, the restaurant is large enough to serve an entire battalion. In fact, until 3 years ago, when the war escalated, the soldiers turned this small restaurant into a huge canteen. And all this reminds of the war. This spacious room was compensation that Anna received from the government after the war, so she could even use it as a deposit. Suddenly, an elderly woman approached her. She was looking for her son and could not find him anywhere. Anna looked at the old woman's hands and saw that they were all scratched and dirty. She suggested that the woman eat some soup first. The old lady didn't like that there were too many onions in it. But people will eat even bad soup if it's free. After she had eaten, she asked again if anyone had seen her son. Anna said she would give an answer tomorrow if the woman did not dig the earth anymore. She wanted to find her son before the military took him away. As she left, Anna looked after her with sadness. Bertram was nearby, so she gave him the task of sweeping the inside. When he was busy with the work, he asked, "Is it true that she knows where that old woman's son is?" Of course she doesn't know. Yes, she lied. But she had no choice. If it hadn't lied, this woman would have dug the earth until she was exhausted. Bertarm didn't understand what they were talking about, but Anna had apparently encountered people like this before. This woman was looking for her son, who had gone missing during the war. They said he had last been seen fighting nearby, and then contact with him had been lost. Bertarm said it was very sad. It was amazing that he could even tell if it was sad or not. Bertarm can't feel it, but he just knows what it is. He recognizes, but does not feel. Anna thought that perhaps he had once blown his head off during the war, so he cannot express feelings. Bertarm couldn't say that this was the reason, but he had fought a lot and received many wounds, so he must have injured his head at some point. Now she was sure that he was not smiling or angry for this very reason. There are many people in this village who suffered because of the war. Some say that after a head injury, even when they are sad, they end up smiling. And there are people who, due to injury, are physically unable to speak. In general, there are a lot of victims. Anna thought that Bertarm was one of those people. Then he wondered, was Anna ever wounded in the war? In fact, she was slapped in the face when she resisted being drafted into the army in her village. Her nose was broken, leaving a small scar, and after that Anna felt almost nothing. Maybe that's why, even though she cooks, her food tastes as good to me as it did before. Anna doesn't know if her food is really tasty, so she wonders what the honest Bertarm would say about it. It turned out that he couldn't even taste it, so he answered honestly. But it was obvious how much this upset Anna. Bertarm quickly apologized. There was something different about him compared to the villagers. Anna looked at him and wondered if he could be a fallen nobleman because of the war. It was quite possible, considering his appearance, his behavior, even the words he spoke. All had a noble feel to them. Suddenly, the doors of the restaurant opened, and a woman shouting Anna's name loudly was indignant that Anna had brought in another beggar. She told Anna not to fall in love with a nobleman, but that doesn't mean she should bring home beggars. This beautiful-looking woman was Carla Burt, Anna's mother, and she was constantly indignant about her daughter bringing random people here. The mother scolded her daughter, not noticing at all that the man she had brought here was standing very close. A grimace of disgust immediately appeared on her face from such a huge, gloomy guy. There was silence, so Bertarm decided to approach the woman and introduce himself to her. He was the beggar she had spoken of. Such directness irritated Carla greatly, but this time she restrained herself. When evening came, there were already many people in the restaurant. Carla had prepared food for herself, her daughter, and this guy. She wanted to talk over this dinner. Bertarm thanked for the kindness and quickly began to eat everything. Then the mother already noticed that this guy was unusual. What kind of person is he? She soon learned that Bertarm was there to pay off a debt to her husband, and this thing that looked like an onion was what he had to pay back the debt for. Bertarm, of course, insisted that it was not an onion, but even Carla didn't care. She told the guy to just finish his meal and go home, and there was no need to repay the debt. She made it clear. After her husband's death, she inherited all his property and debts, so she could decide that there was no need to repay anything. Bertarm was grateful for this service, but hoped that she would think twice, because his debt was really great. He asked to think a little more, because Hans treasured that bow-like object very much. Carla was so angry that she shouted loudly, "That man is already dead!" Then she got tired and caught up and told the guy to leave again. Other restaurant patrons came to the table to help the hostess persuade the guy to leave. They said he should get up if he had finished eating. And when he did, being so big, everyone felt uneasy. The village elder came up to him and said that the women would be scared if he continued to behave like this. Bertarm saw clearly that none of them were afraid of him. He was sure, but even if they were, it didn't matter. They asked him to leave. He couldn't leave without paying the debt. But if he stood there, the customers wouldn't come because they were scared, and Anna wouldn't be able to do business today. He was finally convinced, and then Clara came up to him. She put enough money in a bag for the guy's day's work and asked him to leave and stop talking about the debt. If he feels pressured, she will ask her husband when she dies in the afterlife. The atmosphere in the restaurant was getting worse and worse. Everyone was silent, and Bertarm simply had to leave. He put on his cape and said that he was leaving for today, but he would return. Anna wanted to stop him, but her mother hit her and dragged her into the room to talk. Then she yelled at Anna for bringing such a person into the house, but her daughter still didn't understand what the problem was. The mother did not like this big guy with many scars. Moreover, she was sure that this soldier had committed a crime and deserted, since he still could not return to his hometown. But this is just an assumption. Besides, he did not harm anyone here. Anna did not agree with her mother. Besides, his long documents, which were used in the war, definitely indicated his father's name. Mom was going crazy, just cursing that damn war. But it was already over, so Mom didn't want to remember or talk about it anymore. The war took everything from her, even her husband, and no one could ever compensate her. After the war ended, it was shameful to pretend to be happy in this spacious restaurant. It was time to forget about this crazy war, because even if they had won, they would not have received even a sack of flour. Having calmed down a bit, Mom apologized, but in any case, she just wanted to stop talking about the war. Anna also apologized and said that she would not talk about it anymore. Anna had the right to feed skinny people, but Mom just wanted Anna not to cheat them in the restaurant. She also asked her daughter not to go on dates with this guy after she brought him. Anna just laughed at the word dates. Mom was just worried that the girl brought a suitor for a dangerous man, but Anna wasn't worried about that at all. After all, this guy wasn't even her type. He was too big and distant. All she felt when she saw him was pity. Yes, the worst thing is when feelings start from pity. I'll feed you once, and that turns into, you can't live without me. Anna didn't worry about that either because Bertarm doesn't even like her food. Bertarm from the restaurant opened this bag. There was money in it. He decided to keep it and give it to Anna later. Bertarm has a reason why he must repay the debt no matter what. When this curse was cast on him, he felt pain. But the magician could not remove the curse. He only knew how to ease this pain. The prince had to pay off his entire debt, and when he did, he would realize it will all end once he pays off his debt to Hans Bert. He will never be able to leave. Suddenly, someone called his name. Turning around, he saw 3 guys. He remembered them because they were the guys who threatened him in front of the restaurant. They began to apologize, saying that they were simply very afraid of strangers, and that was why they always behaved this way. Bertram said that he understood them. Anyway, they came because they overheard a conversation about debts in the restaurant, and they wanted to ask why Bertram was still in the village. Carla told him he could go. Bertram said he had no intention of leaving the village and planned to talk to them about the debt as soon as the sun went down. And it became clear that this guy was very stubborn. It was already night, and he was probably very hungry because he was kicked out of the only restaurant. It is unlikely that he has done anything since then. Bertram said that he was just about to go hunting because he checked on the way to the village that there was food there, so everything was fine. The boys didn't understand what he was talking about at first because there was nothing to hunt here. Besides, it was night now, so even catching a rabbit would be very difficult. And then they realized he was talking about livestock, and of course they couldn't let him borrow some. Then they started thinking about what to do. They had to trick him into leaving. The guy had an idea of how to set it up, and the others just played along. They said you can't hunt in the dark, and they'll show you how to find food that's easy to get. And they'll tell you where to sleep to avoid the cold night. Then one guy tried to move Bertram, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't move that huge Bertram. An awkward silence hung between them. Now no one knew what to talk about or what to do. Bertram decided to compromise. He refrained from hunting, but instead asked where he could find food and shelter. These guys aren't strong enough to do anything against him anyway. The boy handed Bertram a cookie and also showed him a place on the hill where mushrooms grew so he could eat them along with the cookie. Also, if you go up the mountain even higher, you can see an abandoned building where you can spend the night. Bertram left, following these instructions. Only it turns out that the guys pointed out mushrooms that he shouldn't eat. Those mushrooms will make him laugh and cry for a few hours and then he'll pass out. It shouldn't be life-threatening, and with his body size, the poison from the mushrooms probably won't have any effect. The boys weren't worried about him, so they went home, and Bertram quickly climbed the mountain. Anna and her mother made soup from all the peeled onions in a restaurant. But there was a lot of soup, and if they ate together, they would be able to eat it in about 3 days, but it would be difficult. Anna didn't want to die from the sly smell, which was so strong that it was already boring. This bothered her, so she decided to share the soup with her neighbors, or rather, to get rid of this soup peacefully. The neighbors were not very keen on accepting this soup, which had so many onions in it, but Anna was good at persuasion. She gave the soup to everyone she saw, but she still had a lot left. She didn't know what to do. Besides, it was already a dark night. Everyone was about to go to bed. Suddenly, she saw light and smoke on the hill. This meant that someone had lit a fire. There's a small chance that it's a group of bandits. Most likely it's Bertram. Anna thought so she decided to go there. And she was not mistaken. It was indeed Bertram. He lit a fire to cook food. The guy didn't expect her to come to him at night in the mountain, but he didn't react much. He just greeted her. Anna began to watch what he was doing with interest. It seemed as if he could cook. Bertram didn't care about the taste, so he was just making the ingredients safe to eat. Anna was surprised that he could do something like that. But in fact, he is quite capable of many things, and he can do everything to return the debt. She asked for help with the onion soup, of which there was still a lot left. Bertram agreed to help, and he added some mushrooms he had collected to the soup. And then he poured the soup into a bowl and gave it to Anna to try because he did as she asked. He fixed everything. It turned out he thought she was asking for help making that delicious onion soup tastier. Anna just wanted him to finish the rest of the soup and it's not bland. Bertram understood and began to eat the soup. This guy was so strange. And looking at him, Anna thought for a long time how her father got involved with such a person. Yes, and besides, Bertram doesn't seem like the type to get into debt easily. Sometime later, the guy had already eaten several portions, and fate, Anna asked, "Bertram, are you full?" But he said no and continued eating. Anna knew he was lying because she saw how much he slowed down, so she took the rest of the soup. Of course, a person who does not waste food is usually a good person, but forcing yourself to overeat is wrong. Anna decided to just eat the rest since she had given him the soup, so she might as well finish it. Bertram thanked her with relief. You had it, because the mushrooms actually made the soup very tasty, with a pleasant spicy note. Anna complimented Bertram's culinary skills a lot, and then asked where he would be spending the night. Bertram is used to camping. He is used to sleeping in the open. He does not have a tent with him, so he was going to go to an abandoned building where he can stay. Anna knew what kind of abandoned building they were talking about, and this place was definitely not the best. They say it's haunted and cursed. She was so deeply thinking about this place that she didn't even notice how sick she felt. Suddenly she started crying, although she didn't feel sad. Bertram was confused. He thought something bad had happened. He asked Anna what had happened, but she did not answer. And then she suddenly laughed loudly, but continued to cry. Bertram had never seen anything like this before and didn't even know what to do. Anna immediately realized that he had added something strange to the soup and said so. Turning around, the guy looked at the mushrooms, which had a strange appearance. It wouldn't do him any harm, and the villagers had said that these mushrooms might be edible, but seeing more of them, he understood. He quickly apologized to Anna. He wrapped her in his big cloak. Everything happened so quickly that she barely understood anything. Bertram apologized to her several more times, and also apologized for what he was doing now. He threw Anna over his shoulder, and, being in his cape, she could not resist. He warned her that there would be a little shaking while he ran, and that it would be okay even if she threw up. During this time, he has already learned to wash, so vomiting will not be a problem. Anna didn't have time to say anything before he suddenly started running. It was really fast. Meanwhile, in the village, several people gathered together because Dito had woken them up. He was worried about Anna, so he called everyone, but no one was worried about her, because one day she went into the forest. There was a wolf, but she was able to kill him alone. She is not only brave, but also very strong. Dito wasn't worried about the wolves at all. In fact, he knows that Anna is now with that strange man who came to the village recently. Dito was worried that Bertram looked like a deserter or some kind of criminal, and now he was with Anna. The other men were very skeptical that this guy was dangerous. Now the most dangerous one here was Dito, because he screamed too loudly in the forest, which attracted attention to himself. There was already a wolf wandering nearby that had separated from the pack, and that was very bad. Then the boys heard some strange sounds, as if someone very heavy was running. They looked closely in the darkness. Even the wolf took notice and was ready to attack. But as soon as he felt this powerful aura, and this speed, the wolf was scared. Bertram ran away with Anna, and he certainly didn't care about some wolf. The wolf was so unremarkable that Bertram simply ran over it. The men watching this were not surprised, but Dito suddenly screamed, all because he saw Anna. He was sure that it was a kidnapping and started screaming incredibly loudly so that everyone would wake up immediately. The entire village, which was peacefully sleeping, suddenly rose from the loud voice of Dito. This guy was screaming non-stop, so much so that blood was coming out of his ears. And people immediately recognized his voice and began to leave their houses to find out why Dito was shouting in the middle of the night and what was going on. Before people had time to figure out what was happening, Bertram had already run to Anna's house. All the people looked on in amazement. Bertram, with a stony face, dragged Anna home, who was covered in vomit. When morning came, she finally woke up and felt very bad. The assembled family went down to the restaurant and saw Bertram. She didn't understand what he was doing there. As if nothing had happened, he wished her good morning. Anna looked questioningly at her mother. After all, it was Mama who was most against Bertram being here, but now he is. It turns out it's because Anna vomited on his back during the night. Mother took responsibility, so she could not send Bertram away like that. She told him to stay until his clothes were dry. But this huge, heavy raincoat will probably take about 3 days to dry, and also the rest of his clothes needed to be checked. So Mom went to the store, and Dito and Anna had to prepare the dining room, and now she was alone with Bertram. When their eyes met, he waved at her. It was a little strange, but then he gave her a thumbs up, and Anna did the same. But she didn't really understand why and didn't really understand who this guy really was. Carla came to Taylor's tailor shop where Dito's mother works. This woman checked out Bertram's clothes and was surprised by the high quality. It looked like a tailored shirt that only the very rich could afford. It was immediately obvious that this guy was really rich. Just looking at those clothes, it was clear that commoners don't have that. If that was true, then we had to deal with him before problems arose. Carla hates these noblemen who give hope to country girls and leave. She will never stand it anymore. A friend said that she can be counted on when it is time to get rid of Bertram. Dito's mother was sure that she will become her son's bride, but Clara is very doubtful. When they talked about Anna, even her ears began to itch. But suddenly she noticed that Bertram was holding out his hand to her, and in a second she stepped back, because he was apparently trying to kill someone with the hands that had just peeled onions. In fact, he wanted to clean the dust from her face. She asked not to touch her for some time, at least 4 hours. Although he should not touch her at all, and in general talking to him is like talking to a wall. Bertram said it was better than it was back then. I can even talk easily. He was talking about the time he was on the battlefield. Anna decided to ask him once if it was true that he was a deserter. No, Bertram stayed until the very end of the war, but all his close relatives died, and the uncle who remained considers him a burden. so Bertram cannot return home. Anna felt guilty for asking this and now didn't know what to answer. But, fortunately, a guest suddenly arrived and Anna happily ran to the spear. The customer ordered a regular lunch, and also, with a sly smile, decided to find out what about that guy from last night, what the two of them were doing then. Anna told everything as it was, but it turned out to be a little suspicious. Anna didn't understand what the problem was. She encountered strange things all the time. So why was it suspicious now? The man said it was all because the guy was handsome and laughed. Anna had never thought about it. She looked at Bertram again, more closely, after which she blushed and said that he was so big that it was hard to see his face properly. The man laughed and simply advised her to have fun while she could with this handsome man. But when it comes to marriage, she should settle down with someone reliable, like Dido. Good looks are good when people are young, but as they age, someone close to them is best. Anna was disgusted by these conversations about marriage. Many people have been trying to unite her with this unbearable Dido for a long time, but he does not attract her at all in this regard. The next day, Anna had a strange dream. She was wearing a fancy dress and expensive jewelry, and opposite her was a huge bear with a crown. He was majestic and cute. Anna did not understand why the bear was wearing a crown and thought that perhaps it was a man cursed to become a bear, or maybe it's a bear that has turned into a prince. She decided to test her guess and kiss him to lift the curse. But as soon as she started to approach the bear, he started to run away from her. Anna was not afraid at all and ran after him to kiss him, but the bear asked her not to come closer because he could easily tear her to pieces. Anna wanted to kiss this harmless teddy bear, which made the dream seem sweet and kind. It was only when she woke up remembering all this that she felt ashamed. Now she didn't understand why she had dreamed that she wanted to kiss a bear. After thinking about it for a long time, she remembered that she associated Bertram with a bear. But this made the dream even stranger. Why does she have these dreams anyway? Is it because of what that uncle said about Bertram being handsome and fun to be around? Anna thought deeply. Is he really handsome? After all, because he is so big, she never managed to get a good look at his face. Her head was always at the level of his stomach. After thinking for a long time, she decided that she could just go and check. She walked into the room where Bertram slept, holding the candle right over his face. She wondered if he was handsome or not. If he would tidy himself up a bit and start looking after himself, that would be good. Suddenly, she saw some kind of glowing stone that was visible from under his clothes. Only strangely, it looked as if it was right in his skin. Anna unconsciously reached out her hand. It was interesting to touch this stone, but suddenly Bertram grabbed her hand. She thought he was awake and began to apologize, only to find that Bertram was still asleep. He had started talking in his sleep. Now his face showed emotion for the first time. He was shaking all over and begging someone not to do this. Anna, of course, didn't know what he was talking about. But judging by the way his hand was shaking, perhaps he had a nightmare after the war. And that's why he was suffering. Anna felt so sorry for him. She wanted to do something for him. Besides, she noticed that there was not enough blanket for his legs. With the first rays of the sun, Bertram woke up but suddenly noticed something strange. He had a bright apron tied around his legs, but why? Bertram put it aside and went to do some cleaning. A few hours later, Anna finally woke up. She still wanted to sleep, although the sun was out at that time. Mom started scolding her because even the big bear woke up at dawn to clean up. Then they quarreled again over Bertram's presence. Anna understood very well why her mother was behaving this way, because this was not the first time she had brought someone home, but her mother was picky, especially this time. She didn't have time to explain anything to her daughter because the village elder and Dido came to visit. In fact, the headman just came to chat, but everyone was happy to see him, so they immediately made tea. Anna asked her friend why he was wandering around here so early in the morning. He should have work. Dido quietly told her that he was worried that this guy might do something weird. Bertram is always weird, so there's no need to worry anymore. Sometime later, old Stan even talked to Bertram. They agreed to meet after dinner and go somewhere. Anna became curious about what was going on, and her mother told her that a wolf had been seen near the village yesterday. The chieftain was gathering young people for a sortie, and he wanted to take Bertram with him. Why does everyone use Bertram like some kind of object? But he said it was okay, and once he left, he agreed. Anna couldn't do anything about it. But she said that she would cook something tasty for him to eat before he left. Bertram decided to leave dinner for now. What he really wanted to know was what had happened in the night. That apron on his feet? Anna laughed and said that there was nothing wrong with that. When she checked if he was sleeping well, she saw that his legs were sticking out from under the blanket and decided to cover them. She used 2 pieces, because it was already very old, but she didn't use it anymore. Bertram can use it again if the legs don't need it. Answer cold legs can cause nightmares. And Bertram looked very cute with the apron covering his legs. He asked again what she meant, but at that moment his mother called Anna. Bertram simply fell into a stupor and repeated the phrase that Anna said many times. When it was time for lunch, Bertram was still walking around with such a strange face, even Carla noticed it. Anna went out on business, so Bertram and Carla were left alone. She looked at his face for a long time and did not understand what was happening. She was already starting to worry. Bertram himself was not well. He was so lost in thought that he even bent a spoon without realizing it. When Carla started yelling at him, he finally came to his senses, and then he decided to ask Miss something. He approached the question very seriously and asked, "Am I cute?" Carla screamed so loudly in shock that she even turned over everything that was on the table. She was so angry that Bertram knew he had said something wrong. But if he had said something wrong, then Anna must have said something wrong too. When she said he was cute, she was probably wrong. So he was wrong too. After dinner, a group of men went into the woods to find the wolf. They found the wolf that Bertram kicked once, and the wolf ended up with a mountain on it, as if it had been hit by a cannonball. Many even doubted whether Bertram had not returned and finished off the animal with a stone. It was hard to believe that he had accidentally touched the wolf with just 1 foot as he ran. Dido continued to grumble about something about Anna. That night, he could not admire Bertram's strength like the other men. Everyone understood that Dido was so worried only because Anna had a handsome and strong guy staying with her. Bertram said that Anna had swallowed poisonous mushrooms that night and had developed symptoms. One could say that she was wounded, so he simply carried the wounded. Bertram spent 6 years in war zones, and he knows exactly what matters most in such a situation. But it had been 3 years since the end of the war, so everyone tried to relax Bertram a little, to make him smile. He said that he had suffered a head injury during the war, so he could neither cry nor laugh. Everyone, oddly enough, believed him, and even began to feel sorry for him because of how they had previously treated him. Similar. That the legend of Anna is very true similar. Bertram decided to continue to use this. Bertram suddenly noticed a live wolf nearby, which was watching them right now. And he asked, "Does the elder need a wolf skin in perfect condition, without holes?" Bertram could skin it perfectly without damage this time, if necessary. Dido started to get angry again. He didn't like the fact that this guy was acting so tough. Dido said that he could chase the wolf away too, and although everyone tried to calm him down, Dido just ran towards the wolf screaming. And perhaps he could have done it. But the situation became serious when the men noticed the wolf's paws. There was human hair on it, and what's more, it was clear that it had been completely checked, obviously having recently eaten human flesh. Dido was overcome with fear. He no longer felt so confident. And then the wolf suddenly jumped straight at him. Everyone was there, so they couldn't help Dido, but the wolf couldn't get to him. Bertram managed to grab the animal by the tail, then dealt with it with his bare hands. Dido was so scared that he lost consciousness. And when he opened his eyes, he saw Anna. Her face was so close. He thought he was in heaven. But Bertram quickly brought him to his senses, saying that Dido was still alive. Besides, he was holding him in his arms. Dido screamed like a girl and everyone around laughed, but Bertram couldn't put him down because Dido had injured his ankle when the wolf attacked him. And now, if he stood up, he would break his leg even more. Bertram is a professional, so he will support Dido for now while Mrs. Carla went to get a doctor. Sometime later, everyone gathered in the restaurant was having a good time, except for Dido, of course. Bertram skinned a huge wolf, perfectly and single-handedly. The old woman with you was telling everyone about it so enthusiastically. And as soon as he got to the point where exactly Bertram killed the wolf, the guy asked him to stop so that Anna wouldn't hear such terrible details. It's funny that he cares about such things, but it was even sweet. During this time, they had already managed to check that there had been no disappearances of people in the city or village. Perhaps that wolf had attacked some traveler. The headman was worried, but Bertram could easily calm him down because he saw that there was not only hair on the wolf's paw, but also dirt, which meant that he could simply dig up the corpse from the grave and eat it. It's very easy to find out. You can just check his paw at night. If he really dug up the grave, then the minerals and the decomposed body are left. A faint blue glow. Everyone was surprised that this guy knew so many strange things, but they decided to check it out that night. The villagers had already begun to gradually get used to Bertram, and he liked the quiet life in the village, all thanks to the good patrol team. He didn't know that, so for the first time he was surprised that someone like Anna could walk alone at night. In fact, it's just because she's incredibly brave. In fact, she's tougher than most of the men here. When the village fields were in total disarray after the war, it was she who led the effort to restore them to a communal farm. Bertram shared his story. He saw many people who were afraid of his appearance, but Anna saw in him only something that could be fattened. However, in the end, he is just a stranger who will soon leave. Everyone understood this. This evening promised to be fun, because today everyone drank a lot of alcohol, and then they even started the second round, and even Anna drank with all the men. The woman who came to the restaurant was surprised that there were so many guests today, but everyone decided to join in because the village elder was there. And the most amazing thing is that Anna, such a young girl, manages all the elders like a professional. She noticed Bertram sitting alone and decided to go over and talk to him for a bit. He was drinking some delicious apple cider. Anna noticed that the pickled vegetables were left untouched and decided to make him a sandwich. When she did this, she said something, but Bertram, it turned out, did not hear anything. He simply did not take his eyes off Anna. She made him a sandwich. Even if he can't taste it, the texture is still nice. She watched him eat and found that his facial muscles moved quite well. Does that mean he can smile, even if it's fake? She stroked his cheek lightly. Everyone seemed to be engrossed in their own conversations, but everyone noticed this gesture and secretly watched Anna and Bertram with smiles on their faces. Then, as she wanted, he tried to smile. Only apparently it was so terrible that people asked him never to do it again. Dito suddenly came and sat down right between Bertram and Anna. His behavior was strange. He even slammed his head on the table. He said they were sitting too close and their knees were touching. Bertram approached him and asked, "Dito, would you rather sit on my lap?" Dito called the guy crazy and started to get indignant again. And he was even more upset that the guy would be sleeping here again today. The very thought that Anna was living under the same roof with some strange man made Dito cry. But no amount of persuasion could change Anna's decision. When night had already fallen, everyone had to go home to sleep. Only Dito did not want to leave because Bertram was spending the night there. Dito couldn't stay here overnight either, at least because his mother was waiting for him at home. But he didn't agree even with such persuasion. Bertram thought for a moment and said that if Dito was afraid to walk home alone at night, he could gladly take him there. It looked scary. Dito felt disgusted by this crazy guy, so he immediately left alone. Bertram actually considered looking for another place to spend the night, as Dito had suggested. He could sleep on the farm, for example. Anna told Bertram not to leave just because of Dito. Bertram took Anna's liking of Dito seriously, but she only laughed. This guy keeps teasing her, saying that she needs 10 more years before marriageable age, so she was sure that he didn't like her. But Bertram explained that it means that Dito needs 10 more years to work up the courage to tell her. Even Bertram, who is stingy with emotions, can objectively determine how people look at him. And it's too obvious that Dito is jealous. That was why Bertram decided to spend the night at the farm, but still take the cloth that Anna had covered his legs with the previous night. She didn't understand why he needed it. There were many common blankets on the farm. But since he insisted, she decided to keep the fabric. Carla was just passing by, but she became very angry when she saw Bertram looking at her daughter. It was already dark, so the wolf's skin stood out in the darkness, and his paws glowed. Then she remembered Bertram's words about checking the wolf's front paws if he dug up a grave. People in small villages usually do not trust strangers, but if you prove your competence and gain this trust, then sometimes they allow you to live with them. But Carla didn't want to let that happen if the headman liked this guy. She didn't know who this person really was, but she knew that this was definitely not the person who could be with Anna. Carla intended to remove Bertram from the village before he gained the trust of the village chief. She didn't know what debt the bear owed Hans, but she prayed that she would have the strength to see him off safely by morning. When it was already late morning, Anna woke up. The previous night had been so hard that she felt very dizzy from drinking alcohol. The restaurant had probably been open for a long time already. Anna didn't understand why her mother hadn't woken her up. She hurried downstairs but suddenly heard a conversation as Bertram said goodbye to the headman and Miss, who does. Anna screamed loudly, asking if Bertram was leaving right now. It was too sudden. It turned out that they had decided that the debt would be paid off with the wolf they had caught yesterday, and Bertram agreed. Mom starts to get upset with the girl for going outside in her pajamas, and Anna asks her not to change the subject and answer her question about why Bertram is leaving right now, so unexpectedly, when she is not ready for it. Mom says that he can't stay with them forever anyway, and they can't keep a healthy guy around just so he can peel onions all the time. And they also decided that the debt will be paid off with the wolf they caught yesterday. According to her, the guy agreed to this, and the girl started to cry because of it. She is against it and doesn't know what to do now. The man thought that since he was going to sell the wolf skin today, he could take this young man with him to the city. He will show him a normal city restaurant as soon as he gets money for the skin. And then Anna asked him to explain. Does he really mean to say that their establishment is not a real restaurant? He started making excuses that he didn't have enough beer there, but otherwise everything would be fine. And at that moment, the guy added that if the establishment didn't have his favorite drink, it didn't mean the place was bad. Grandpa laughed and then said that it was just a joke between friends, but Bertram also said that the closer the relationship, the less one should be reckless. The man didn't like that he was being lectured by a person younger than him. So he went to prepare the carriage and asked to get ready to leave. Anna immediately asked to go with them. The headman asked what she wanted to serve, and she immediately started to think up anything. In fact, she just doesn't want to break up with her boyfriend, so she came up with the idea of selling aged sausages because they wouldn't just take her along. Grandfather will agree only after the girl's mother lets her go, but she is unhappy with something and is still thinking. She didn't want to quarrel with her daughter. She allowed her to go. And the girl is already jumping for joy. The carriage was ready. Everyone took their goods, looked at each other so as not to forget anyone, and finally, Anna said goodbye to her mother. She thanked her and said that she would be back soon, and then asked her not to worry about her because she was not alone and not on foot. The women wished everyone good sales, advised not to set the lowest price, and the grandfather quietly laughed, as if she had found someone to teach. Mom stood there for a long time and watched them leave. She understands that everything is fine, but inside she is very calm. She doesn't like that her daughter has become very stubborn lately and she can't learn to refuse her. Everything is fine. The carriage is already on the way, the weather is sunny, and everyone is in a good mood, especially Anna. She understands that this is just the beginning. The fact that she went with them does not mean that Bertram is staying. At some point, he wondered why they called this cart a carriage if it didn't even have a roof or doors. The grandfather replied that someone expected too much from the village. And then it started. Someone accidentally let it slip about the breakup, and the person they didn't want to upset found out about it. This is Laura, Anna's younger neighbor. She loves reading romantic novels and went with them to gain experience in sales. Anna told her that she herself only found out in the morning and was also not thrilled with such news, that the guy should explain everything, how it happened. He says that she also found out about it only this morning, Carla said. Since all the debts are paid, leave the village today. The girl knew that her mother didn't like that Bertham was living with them, but she didn't think that she would decide to kick him out so quickly. They were silent for a bit. The girls didn't know what to say anymore. They were still children, and their mother's decision was not up for discussion. When suddenly, the guy thought and realized that Anna could be pursuing him under the pretext of selling sausages, and in fact, she might not care whether she sells anything or not. He looked at the number of sausages she plans to sell. It seems unlikely to him that she will be able to cover her living expenses in the city with these couple of sausages. If she really wanted to make money, she would take much more and approach the matter more seriously. Lara is already watching this as if it were a TV series. She really likes these showdowns and has started eavesdropping, although she doesn't hide it. Anna hasn't felt so awkward for a long time. She wants to go somewhere, but it won't work. He sees her blushing face and it irritates her. He also says that until she answers his question, he will look at her the whole way until they arrive. She didn't react at all. She kept silent, because she wouldn't allow herself to admit that he understood everything correctly, and it was hard for her to break up with him. Literally half an hour passed and here they are already in the city, in the very center. Lara was surprised by these huge walls. She had never seen anything like this. She was already starting to like it here. She had heard something about these walls, but she had no idea that it looked so beautiful and unusual. Anna told her that you get used to it quickly. It's enough to come here a couple of times and it doesn't seem so surprising anymore. Personally, she's not even afraid of the guards anymore. Lara sees armed people for the first time. For her, it's all like some kind of excursion and she can't believe that someday she'll be here every day. Anna thought that the guy was probably used to such armed guards. He had been on the battlefield for a long time, but he replied that this level was something new for him. He said it on purpose as if he was surprised by the level of security, but in fact, he just didn't want to say that. Firstly, they have a very low level of security. The city walls were built in a hurry, and with such a level, they can probably only catch a few criminals. From the outside, everything looks good, but in fact, there is no point in it. Then he said it out loud on purpose so that they would be offended and not want him to stay so much. But the girl simply covered his mouth so that the grandfather wouldn't hear it. They just got to the gate. The guard called the elder to ask about Bertham, and the grandfather tells him that he is with them and everything is fine. The holiday asked if this was the guy who went to the village to pay back the debt. Grandpa asked how they knew this, to which he replied that not long ago he came, saying that he was looking for a creditor, and completely turned the whole city upside down. To prevent the guy from saying anything unnecessary, the girl continues to keep his mouth shut because she knows him too well. Somehow they were allowed into the city. There are a lot of people here, a pleasant atmosphere that immediately disposes. Grandfather got down to business. He asked Lara what she took. Then she showed the bag where she had collected all the unprocessed stones that she had. He said that would do, then asked the guy to go with the kids because he needed to go to the hardware store for a bit. The man said that she can do everything. You just need to keep an eye on them, and better yet, not only on them, but also on the strange people. There will always be villains in the city who hunt for village girls. He was advised to pretend that he was their older brother, even though they weren't very similar. But his grandfather couldn't think of anything else. Meanwhile, they have already approached the first counter. Some man says that he really likes the sausage and he will give it a good price. The girl was very happy. Usually you have to negotiate, but here, everything is so easy and simple. Bertham, as promised, watches everyone who looks at Anna. He took the request too literally that he already began to scare everyone around. They came across a very talkative man. He suggested that the guy eats only lean meat and does sports, but sometimes he gets fat. Anna didn't understand why he said that. She didn't even have time to answer. The guy didn't either. When suddenly Lara shouted that she would drop into the pawn shop for a minute, Anna asked her to wait a minute. They would soon finish everything and go together. The girl said that she could handle it herself. She ran away because she didn't want to be talked out of it. It was easier for her to hand over these stones to a pawn shop and not suffer. The neighbor understands her that the girl does not understand trade at all. She thinks that processed stones do not sell well. But this is not a reason for you to give the goods at the lowest price. They have already done everything, started looking for her. In the nearest area, there is only one pawn shop where Lara could go. Although it looks a bit strange there is not even lighting. And for some reason, instead of going there together, the girl wants to go there herself to find Lara, and Berthama asked to wait for them here. Well, and if they're not there for more than 5 minutes, then you can worry and go look for them. He listened to her. Anna had already gone inside. She was afraid of falling from this huge staircase, but she still went further, and the smell starts to bother you. It's already obvious that there are a few visitors here because no one even wipes the dust. The girl opens the door. 2 men are sitting at the table. They are playing some games, and from the first seconds, she begins to dislike what she sees. She starts to get embarrassed that she doesn't see Lara. There are only 2 strange people here, from whom she wants to run away as quickly as possible. There was nothing to be done. She had to go in. Anna asked very politely if they had seen a girl with a bag of stones here. They laughed in a strange way. Anna felt that something was wrong here. Lara apparently heard her neighbor's voice and began to hit the door of the closet very hard, in which she was apparently locked. It's a pity that the girl asked the guy to stay outside. He would have helped a lot now. The two began to approach her closer. She began to hint that she could join her sister, although it is unclear where they got the idea that they were relatives. Anna got so angry that she punched one of them in the stomach. She didn't care if they caught her or not, at least she tried to do something. While the man is coming to his senses after the girl missed and hit him below the stomach, she has already run to the closet. And at this time, those two do not understand how with a dagger in hand, you can miss a blow from a weak child. The girl is already opening the doors. She thought that her friend was simply locked in here, but they also tied her up. She cries, apologizes for running here alone, and promises that it will never happen again. She asked not to tell her grandfather anything, otherwise he would never take her here again. Anna was about to leave, but those people blocked the passage. They stood near the door and asked where they were going. One of them suggested jumping through the window because they wouldn't let them through the door. The girl doesn't give up. She offered them two options. Either they disperse right now and let them go, or she will shout out the window to her older brother to come pick them up. They started laughing as if she was bluffing, and there was nothing left to do but tell that she had already agreed with her brother that if she did not return soon, he would either come for them himself or call the guards. And she also said that he looks something like this: black hair and blue eyes. He is very tall, so big that you can easily confuse him with a bear. The man asked her to shut up because he thinks that for her, probably, anyone who is bigger than a normal person looks like a bear. After that, he asked the assistant to check if someone is really waiting for them, because if not, he doesn't even know what he will do with these two. Anna is already impatiently waiting for the woman to return in horror and confirm that it really is their brother at the entrance. She is already going down the stairs, a little nervous, but still does not believe that there is someone here with them. Her legs are shaking a little, her eye is twitching. She has a bad feeling, and for good reason. She goes outside and sees a huge man who perfectly matches the girl's description. I could have gone back and told everyone he was here, but she spoke to him and asked me if he was waiting for his sisters by any chance. She made a huge mistake. A second later, the guy ran to the second floor because he understood everything right away. Meanwhile, things are already very serious there. The man forbids the girls to move, and they, out of spite, do not listen to him. Anna hit him in the face, and then his assistant came up to ask to put down the dagger. He only scares and does not use it properly. Everyone is already ashamed of him that he cannot cope with a child. Then they decided to tie her up so as not to suffer, and mockingly asked where their brother was. Literally a moment passed. Bertham broke down the door with one hand, and then everyone realized who it could be. These two are no longer in the mood for jokes. They look at each other and already want to jump out the window without even seeing the guy's face. They were so timid that they didn't even catch the assistant so that no one would say that they were in cahoots here. They thought to blame her for everything. A guy comes into their pawn shop. He asks, "What's going on here?" And Anna smiled and asked this man why he doesn't tie her up. These two immediately turned pale. They regretted that they had threatened the girl and believed when they were warned. Bertham doesn't know the situation very well, but he decided to take control of it first and restore order here. One of them made a point of asking who he thought he was, took his knife, and the second one turned out to be smarter and realized that it was better to apologize before it was too late. They don't have a chance against him. His colleague didn't listen to him, he started to attack, and the guy just stuck his fist out. And this was enough for everyone to calm down, sensibly assess their capabilities, and retreat. In the end, the girls remained safe and sound. Anna thanked the guy and said that she now owes him her life. It's just a pity that no one sold anything. Lara is very hungry and asks to quickly join the village elders so that everyone can go somewhere together and eat. Naturally, they chose places where beer is sold. This is the only criterion for the grandfather. He is a little upset that the children wasted their time, so he took this trip as an adventure and did not scold them too much. On the contrary, he is even glad that the girls were very brave, defended themselves to the last, but they are a little ashamed of it. They promised that everything would be fine. But in the end, it turned out quite the opposite. Of course, he couldn't help but thank Bertham. He saved the girls, and now the grandfather is in his debt. Meanwhile, they started talking about where the guy planned to stay for the night and when he planned to return to his hometown. He said he planned to stay there for a while, and when Grandpa asked if that meant he would ask to come back with them, the boy remained silent. The girls didn't listen to what they were talking about. Lara didn't stop thanking Anna, and she was already tired of repeating that she understood her and that anyone in her place would have done the same. The man noticed that the girls weren't listening to them, so he quietly asked where the guy was from, because if he lived far away, he shouldn't linger. Bertham said he was from Schlesien, the capital of that country, and most of its inhabitants descended from high-ranking nobles or war heroes. It turns out that he came from far away. The man asked if he had money to go back because walking there was definitely not an option. The guy did not pretend. He admitted that he had nothing and asked to borrow a little. Unexpectedly, she asked her grandfather to stop saying such things and move away from him. He didn't like that the guy was going to return to their village again, justifying himself by saying that he couldn't repay the debt. Lara heard this. then looked at the wall and asked them to look at it too. There is some kind of announcement hanging there. The first one who reaches the goal, avoiding the boars, will receive 5 gold coins and the fattest boar. The festival is tomorrow, Lara asked. How much one boar costs and how much Anna knows. It depends on the weight, but usually about 8 or 10 coins. Grandpa laughed at them. He thinks that they are distracted by useless things, but he justifies them by saying that they are too young. He couldn't even imagine that the guy would be interested in this too. The man just turned towards him, and he was no longer there. Bertham started looking at ads because it was the only way to make some money. Grandpa asked if he was going to participate by chance, to which he replied that he was just checking the location and time of the event. The man is already very angry. He tells him to do whatever he wants, but she warned him in advance that the guy will not return to the village with them. Bertham says that he doesn't promise anything, and from these words the man turned completely red. He won't allow the 4 of them to return. He's even ready to help him with money, just to keep his promise to the girl's mother. And he also asked the children not to fall for it. Supposedly, this guy is trying to come up with any excuse to return to the village, and if this happens, Carla will never forgive him. And in the meantime, evening has come. 4 people and their commander have gathered on the street. They are discussing some guy who passed by here. They want to find him, but for this they will have to enlist the cooperation of the local guards. It is not yet clear who they are looking for, and at such a late hour when it makes no sense. This man's name is Franz Gerhard. He is a royal knight who wants to see things through to the end, but has no idea how possible it is. He is the 3rd son of the ducal family of Gerhard, famous for his strength and beauty. He is the knight commander of Prince Bertham. They all talked for a very long time, had already quarreled several times, when suddenly they overheard the conversation of 2 people nearby. They're talking about the big guy who came back this afternoon and made so much noise that everyone is talking about it. They remembered how he caught them, but they didn't think that anyone could hear them. The knight and his assistants immediately approached them, apologized for disturbing them, and asked them to tell the story in more detail. He introduced himself as a knight from the capital who was looking for a man by order of His Majesty, and he really needed their assistance. In order not to stand outside and freeze, they went into some building and started everything from the very beginning. It turned out that these are the people who are doing bad things. It was them that the guy attacked, and it also turned out that they are stealing children and have been doing this for over a year. They themselves admitted it and told how it all began. The knight even intimidates them so that no one would think of leaving anything unsaid. At some point, the guy asked the assistant to close the door so that no one would leave until he found out everything he needed. It's all happening exactly the same way as when they were holding little girls and thought it wouldn't affect them. And in the meantime, while the girls were chatting, they didn't notice how those 2 got drunk before they were brought food. Grandpa had already fallen asleep and Bertham had to pick him up and carry him to the bed. Anna really doesn't like it when this happens. She gets angry, but she still makes the bed because no one else will do it. The girl only now noticed how much bigger the boy was than his grandfather, almost twice as big. The guy says that if a man gets drunk in their company, there is no need to be so angry because it means that the elder trusts them and knows that if something happens, they can be relied on. To which she said that actually she could become the next elder, so maybe she is trusted for that very reason. The guy asked if the role is not hereditary, after which I learned that in this small village there is nothing special about such a title. It is just what people do, who like to deal with annoying things. As it usually happens, the position of elder is usually occupied by men. But still, she has done something in this village, so there is a high probability that she will take this post. Now is the time that if she doesn't take responsibility for this village, then no one else will. They talked a little more about different topics. Then they got tired of walking along the corridors. Out of the blue, Anna didn't notice how she started talking about relationships. Namely, she is very interested in at what time couples start to get tired of each other. At first, she felt awkward, but then she remembered that they were talking about everything anyway, and calmed down. She didn't think he would be interested in talking about it either. Bertham also sometimes wonders if the vow at the ceremony can dry up over time. The girl was embarrassed, but said that emotions can change over time, and then wondered how she could talk about this if she herself was still very young and didn't know anything about it. Then she looked at the situation from the outside and realized that their conversation had gone too far, so she asked him to stop. The guy just laughed. He saw for the first time how Anna was embarrassed, and usually everything was the other way around. The girl apologized for getting a little carried away without realizing it, and he replied that everything was fine and said that he just really wanted her to find a partner one day with whom she could live together until the very end. She felt too embarrassed by such words. She again asked him to stop there because if he said something like that again, she would simply die of shame. Bertham was very tired, so he sat down next to them, and at that moment, they heard someone walking down the corridor towards them. Lara burst into the room. She forgot to knock, but when she saw this picture, she thought that it was better to leave now. She pretended not to notice anything and decided not to interfere. But at that moment, her nose started bleeding. This always happens when she sees anything romantic or related to it. She started to run away, but Anna still saw everything. She felt ashamed that Lara had misunderstood everything. She blushed even more and felt terrible. Bertham became very serious. He asked Anna not to think about how they look from the outside. It is enough that they are not doing anything like that here, and what Lara thought was her business. The girl wanted to catch up with her, explain everything, but still listened to him and thought that it would be more correct. Let Lara feel embarrassed about what she thought up, but their conscience is completely clear. Anna struggled with this feeling for a long time. She was always afraid of what others would think of her, and she would have to fight it. Eventually, she was able to calm down and even continued talking to him about the relationship. She says that if she understood correctly, his parents had a very good relationship, and she wonders how such people express love, because surely, over time, it becomes very difficult to surprise a loved one. The boy said that when he was little, every Sunday morning his father would put flowers by his mother's pillow, and when she woke up, she was the happiest in the world. But one day she said that she no longer wanted to receive flowers. Their withering seemed wasteful to her, and from that day on, her father began to look after his own small garden. There, he planted 12 different plants, and they bloomed every season, and there were also a couple of fruit trees. After that, they started talking about how they have a rule in their village: you have to marry only someone from the same village. And if you tell someone that you want to marry for love, that person is immediately ridiculed. And also, guys who read chivalric novels are also laughed at, and girls who want to receive flowers from their lover are also scolded for their stupid dreams. Due to the consequences of the war, the atmosphere in the village only got worse. The freedom and ease that had existed before disappeared. She sometimes feels very sorry to realize that most of the young men who went to war either died or were left disabled. And the girls who went to the city dreaming of romance returned emotionally and physically traumatized. Her mother also told that among her acquaintances there were girls who were deceived by nobles and said never to believe the stories of aristocrats about love. Now Bertham understood why she was so negatively disposed towards nobles. Anna had long since resigned herself to the fact that she would most likely marry some simple local guy, like Ditter. Bertham asked if she liked that man, to which she replied that no, she perceived him as a friend. But in the village there was no one better than him. Moreover, if she is alone for a long time, it will be difficult for an unmarried person to earn respect in the village. After that, she asked him to stop talking about sad things, and if he had any interesting questions, she would answer them. They have a lot of free time. He can ask whatever he wants, and he just has one question. He reminded her that she had recently said that he was cute, and Anna began to remember when that had happened. It turns out he means the time she gave him a flower apron. The girl didn't think he still remembered it. She told him that, given his build, he might be hearing something like that for the first time, to which he replied that she knew him well, but he was still interested in the context of that phrase. The girl explained that she just thought it was cute for someone as big as a bear to look in a little flower apron. That's all. And then she moved it, which would have been just as nice if the village elder had been in his place then. Bertham said that people are usually called cute when they feel sympathy for them. He can't explain it any other way. The girl asked him to forget about that incident. She is already starting to get embarrassed because he might misunderstand her. After that, he apologized and said that he apparently got too carried away with questions, thinking that he could find a clue to the return of emotions. She suggested that maybe the emotions disappeared due to a head injury, but there is another option. Physical trauma could be the cause. But she had also heard that some people traumatized by war also lost the ability to feel emotions. He said that she might not believe him, but he had been cursed for a long time. He just didn't tell her about it. At this time, Lara is sitting in the kitchen eating carrots and can't stop thinking about going and eavesdropping on them. She wants to believe that everything is fine there, and she would also be very happy if everything worked out for these two in terms of relationships. A love story between a former soldier from distant lands and the owner of a rural restaurant, just like in a romantic novel, sounds good. She can think about it all day long, but in order not to get upset later if nothing works out, she tried to think about something else. She also really wants to meet someone interesting. She is already tired of being alone. As soon as she thought about it, a guy came up to her. He apologized if he was distracting her. The girl looked at him and asked if she had misheard or if he had called her a lady. Laura had never been called that before. It was nice, even too nice. The guy apologized again. He was just looking for someone and would like to ask a few questions if she didn't mind. The girl asked if he was a guard by any chance. He was very surprised and said that it sounded a little offensive. He is not at all like those unpleasant guards, and it is very bad if he gives such an impression. He is Knight Eric and is very proud of it, like any other of his colleagues. The guy dreamed of this title since childhood and is very offended when he is called an ordinary guard. That's what he told her. But in reality, everything is completely different. The guy hopes that nothing will happen from such a tiny lie. He asks how long she has been working here, to which the girl replies that she lives in a neighboring village and is here to sell goods, and then asks what brought him here and who he is looking for. The guy was going around houses looking for information and ended up here. But Laura says that it's very late and he must be very busy and wants to sleep. Some time ago, the knight held a meeting, showed everyone a map and distributed assistance to areas so that they would look for Bertham. At some point, he called Eric to him and asked him to look for him in the largest area. The guy hinted that this is the largest area. He doesn't know the area well, and he has less experience, unlike the others. The knight didn't listen to anything. He was sure that the guy would cope, although he himself didn't believe in it. His colleagues asked him not to argue with the knight's orders, as if they were here to obey and do what they had to. Lara felt a little sorry for him. She decided not to detain him and asked what the man they were looking for looked like. Suddenly, she had seen him somewhere. He began to describe a tall man with black hair, a bit shabby in appearance, to which the girl asked what this man had done and whether he was some kind of dangerous criminal. He shouted very loudly that it was not so. Lara got scared and asked her not to scare her like that anymore. Now she has a question. If this is not a criminal, then why are they looking for this person? Eric cannot tell her this. At the end, he asked that if she sees someone similar, to be sure to report it. He gave her the exact address. She wished him all the best and promised that if she saw anyone similar, she would definitely let him know. They said goodbye, but for some reason this moment dragged on. Lara and Eric literally couldn't take their eyes off each other. The girl at that moment did not notice anyone or anything. It looks very much like sympathy at first sight. When suddenly the guy was already leaving, and she asked to tell her the name of the one he was looking for. To which he replied that if Lara promised not to tell anyone, then he would tell her. She promised, and he immediately said the name, Bertham, after which she was so confused that she had never been like that before. She felt goosebumps running down her body, and a slight panic set in because it turns out that the one he needs is literally on the second floor. Meanwhile, Bertham is already talking about his curse. His tears and laughter never appear. The sorcerer placed it in his chest. That's why he always looks so cold and never shows emotions. And the most interesting thing is that not long ago, when she called him cute. Since then, he started to have tingling in that parts. Despite the fact that because of the curse, this place shouldn't feel anything. The girl really wanted to touch this place, but Lara stopped her. She ran into the room and said that it was urgent. She said that a suspicious man had just come to them and was looking for Mr. Bertham. Anna was so focused on the curse that she didn't even realize what she just heard. Lara laughed. Was 30 minutes really not enough for them? Hinting that they were hugging here and she understood everything. Anna asked her to stop making things up. Otherwise, there would be a conflict. The guy quickly got dressed, said that, as Anna had already said, they were just consulting and everything was not as it looked from the outside. After that, they decided to get back to business. Everything is very serious and it is worth discussing as soon as possible. Lara said that she had spoken to a man who was part of a group of those who were looking for Bertham on the orders of the night. This is all very serious. They can come back here at any time. So we need to think of something urgently. She named this man, but no one knows him. Surprisingly, the girls are more worried than Bertham himself. She didn't learn anything special. The main thing is the fact that it's dangerous to be here, and that's enough. Anna said that she was lucky that everything turned out this way because everything could have happened differently. At the very least, it's dangerous for them to stay here, but going outside isn't the best idea either. Anna still didn't understand why the knight needed to look for Mr. Bertham. She asked him about it personally, and he replied that he could only guess. And for now, he only had one option that could be true. It looks like his uncle is looking for him after all. 3 years have passed since he left Schliessen. If he decided to go so far as to ask the knights for help, it means he is completely desperate. And now he needs to make a choice, to hide further or to return. At that moment, for some reason, he looked at Anna and noticed how embarrassed she was. She feels bad every time she hears bad news, especially when it concerns Bertham. In fact, he has something he wants to tell her since he started to experience some sensations. He doesn't want to lose the thread of this change. He asks that if only he were of some use and he was not a burden, would she agree to help him? And after that, he asked to let him remain a part of her life for some time. Lara again saw something romantic in this. Although it is true, the girl can't believe her ears. She's all blushed. On the one hand, the guy is staying and she's happy about it, but on the other, all these problems, it's very dangerous. The next day came. Everyone had already gathered, including the knight. They started to tell how the search went, but no one had any good news, although the commander didn't expect it. One of them doesn't even realize how close he was to the right person, and that's a very good thing. One soldier said that he felt they were approaching the issue from the wrong angle. The locals can't stand people like them, so they kept evading answers regardless of whether they knew anything or not. The knight replied that it was because this village was in the countryside. The smaller and more remote the place, the less respect they have for authority. They only care about their own backyard and nothing more. That's why he assigned Eric to search in the largest zone. He looks the most harmless of them, unfortunately for them. It didn't yield any results. The knight suggested trying again to enlist the support of the local guard, to which the soldier replied that he had already done this. But because of the village pig festival that was happening today, the guard said that they couldn't help. They had their own work to do and no time for anything else. The guy got really angry. He was already tired of coming up with options. Each time it seemed to him that this task was simply impossible. His anger towards Bertham grows, and towards the soldiers as well. When he calmed down a bit, he started asking about this pig festival. He was told that apparently it was some kind of competition where people would run from boars inside a pen. The guy thought that they shouldn't even talk about it because no matter what the prize was, Bertham would never take part in such a festival because it was better for him to avoid noisy places. Sometime later, Bertham is already there. For some reason, he doesn't hide and walks right in the middle of the street. He really wants to give Anna a pig, no matter how it sounds. And she is happy to receive anything from him, even if it is a pig. Meanwhile, the soldiers begin to speculate that the boy might want to enter the contest in order to use the pig as food. The knight doesn't even want to hear anything about it, because the prize spoiled faster than the guy could eat it all, and anyone who knows the value of food wouldn't act so wastefully. Without realizing it, their leader misses the opportunity to find the person who has been bothering him all this time, and this is for the best. They've been discussing it for so long that they can't react normally to that person's name anymore. It's already irritating everyone. The knight thanked everyone who helps him in his work, but still made a remark to those who are constantly trying to argue with him. Eric thought it was about him. He got nervous, but then calmed down. After all, no one called his name, and the others argued with the knight much more. The atmosphere quickly deteriorated. Everyone was very sad, exhausted, tired, and wanted to sleep. At some point, they heard someone running towards them down the corridor, and a female voice called out a name. Enrich? The guy shouted that he was here, allowed to come in, and everyone else didn't understand what was happening and silently watched. Lara comes in. The guy said that he was very glad to see her, and he was sure that she would now say that she saw that guy and would take everyone to him. The girl thought that he was alone here. The guy didn't have time to say anything and was still a little confused. He turned his head, saw how everyone became quiet, pretended that you really had no one except him and the girl was not mistaken. They want to understand what she is doing here. The knight forbade and make any sounds to hear everything she will say. And also, a crowd of men probably scares any girl, and it's very good that they realized it in time. Eric hinted that he had little time and asked what brought her here, to which she replied that she had managed to find out something about the man he was looking for last night. He asks where he is, and if so, to go to him right now. It is not clear why, but she starts talking about the festival that is happening in the city today, and that he was heading right now to the sheep on the farm southeast of the city, and if you hurry, you can catch up with him. Everyone began to doubt, because the prince would never steal sheep from his own people, because the country they were born in is not so corrupt. Eric decided to make sure and asked if the girl was confusing him with someone else, and she was indignant and asked that even if this was the case, why don't they check it out personally? He says that this is not the issue, because the person they are looking for would not steal sheep. In that case, the girl left. She said that she was disappointed with the knights. You helped them, and they still don't believe you. These words hit him harder than a real blow. The guy regretted telling her this, and he is no longer in any mood. It turns out that the girl was simply fulfilling Bertham's request. She gave them false testimony about his location. She helped him with pleasure, and now she decided to go for a walk to unwind. But after the previous incident, she is a little scared. Now she will definitely not go to unfamiliar places and talk to suspicious men. She walks down the street and imagines how that sweet couple will soon delight her with the news that they are together. The girl doesn't know why she thought this would happen, but something inside her tells her it's possible. Meanwhile, the soldiers are already discussing the information they received and thinking about whether they should go southeast of the city. One of them says that, to be honest, he doesn't believe at all that Prince Bertham would do such a thing, to which he is told that if they have no other leads, they will have to believe it. They have nothing better to do anyway. They can't waste time. When suddenly, at some point, the knight personally praised Eric. He was useful, and even if in the end they don't find anyone, it's still better than nothing. Everything was fine. But at some point, the guy accidentally remembered how the girl called the soldier a knight and asked to explain what it was. The guy explained that he had to pretend to be a knight because the girl simply didn't want to talk to him otherwise. He did it just for business. Someone laughed at him. Someone didn't even look in his direction, but the knight doesn't even know what to do with it. On the one hand, there's nothing wrong with it. He wanted the best, but on the other hand, he can't leave it without attention either. Meanwhile, a lot of people have gathered on the street. The long-awaited competition has already begun, and they are already choosing participants. People have been waiting for this day for a long time. They are interested to see what it will look like. Some even took their children with them. Lara unexpectedly met Anna here. They came here separately, and for some reason did not agree to come together. Anna asked how she was doing with that scam, to which the girl replied that everything was great. She was sure that at least today, they definitely wouldn't catch Bertham. Meanwhile, all the contestants were asked to come forward, and among them Anna saw Bertham, although she thought that he was just joking and would not actually do it. Here he is already among the participants. It was not a joke, but it doesn't make her feel any better. She is already starting to worry about him. He waves his hand at them, smiles. It is clear that he likes everything that is happening, although most likely, it is because something new and unusual has happened in his life. He is unlikely to be so happy that he will be running across the field from animals. Anna tried to relax, smiled. It was hard at first, but she succeeded. Lara saw the girl smiling, started saying again that they were very suitable for each other, and asked her to admit whether they had started dating by chance. The girl got really angry. Everything was just fine. And Lara, as usual, ruined everything. She told her that nothing like that happened, and she was just happy for the person, like all other people. Then she started to get very nervous because she forgot to tell him something important. Lara asked what exactly. The girl replied that she wanted to ask him to be careful and not to get hurt. The friend again saw something romantic and sweet in this. For the first time, she kept silent, thought not to spoil the situation, got distracted, and began to observe what was happening. And in the meantime, huge animals are already running towards the participants. Their task is to dodge, or at least survive. They are so huge that they are several times bigger than any of them. Some thought of participating, but it was too late. They were on the field and there was no escape from there. The boars start to crash into each of them. People didn't think it would be like that. They imagined it would be somehow safer. The animal hits with its nose so hard and with a running start that not everyone can withstand it. They start shouting. Someone laughs, someone worries. Anna can't see where Bertham and Lara are either. It looks so cruel that she doesn't even want to look in that direction. When suddenly, people became quiet and she turned there again to see what happened. In the end, it turns out Bertham. He took all the other participants with him, put them on his shoulders. But it is not yet clear whether they are alive or not. No one understands why he is so bothered and worried about others. And he answered that it is none of their business and asked to put themselves in their place. And then answered the question, would they like someone to save them? In the end, the host announced that they had their first winner. Of course, it was Bertham. And as it turned out, not only Anna and Lara were rooting for him, but also others. The girl asked for applause for the winner. Everyone is happy except for those who came here with the losers. They were already imagining themselves going home with a huge pig. But then a guy with a prize comes up and says that he was given this little pig. They thought the animal would be bigger. The man risked his life and they couldn't even give a normal gift. Lara was very upset. She knew that it was impossible to get something worthwhile in such competitions and said that she would never come here again. Anna doesn't even think about it. She doesn't care about the prize. The main thing is that everything is okay with the guy. She was even surprised that her friend was so upset. Bertham says he's even glad he got this little pig because he doesn't know what he would do with a big pig, especially if it wanted to run away. And so, they can play with this little animal, then give it to some farm, where it will walk and feel more comfortable. The atmosphere is not the most pleasant. Everyone is upset. Most of all, it is offensive for the guy. He tried so hard and Anna ends up sad. He thought that everything would be different. He can't imagine how to please her now and whether it's even possible. At some point, he came up with the idea of catching a big wild boar, asked the piglet to wait here, as if he believed that he understood him. Anna smiled on purpose so that he wouldn't go anywhere and said that if he risked his life again, she would go crazy. After that, he said that if they smiled even a little, he would not go anywhere, but as soon as he saw that someone was upset, he would immediately run after the boar. They started to act like everything was fine. He found it funny to watch, but since he can't show emotions, it's not visible. It turns out that the guy was just joking. He has no desire to run after anyone. He is too tired. Anna had already thought about introducing the little pig to his mother. She was sure no one would kick him out. But at that moment, she didn't think that it could sound offensive to Bertham, who had already been kicked out. The guy pretended not to hear anything, although inside he was a little sad. He again remembered that he needed to somehow return to the village where no one was waiting for him. He started to overload himself with all these thoughts. The only good thing is that this is the only problem that really worries him. Even the fact that the knight's men are looking for him is something like temporary difficulties for him. He doesn't take it as seriously as the fact that Anna's mother might not accept him. And in the meantime, those people are already looking for him, where he is not and do not understand what the matter is. The knight looks at the huge horse, but he has no idea that the girl deceived them. He thinks that the guy has simply gone somewhere. He just needs to find out where exactly. The knight is not used to such animals. He relaxed too much and did not notice how she bit his hand. It turns out that this is an unusual horse. This is a real friend of Bertham, without whom he never went anywhere before. Meanwhile, a man approached them and said that this stallion had such a difficult character that even the owner couldn't cope with him. The guy asked him where the said owner was. Well, the man replied that he was probably in the village because he hadn't been seen here for a long time. The knight realized that he was not here and had never been. He would have to go back, and that was time that they didn't have anyway. Meanwhile, this company is already leaving from there. Grandfather is still feeling bad. He couldn't come to his senses because yesterday he went a bit overboard and drank more than he should have. He constantly clutches his head, apologizes that they see him like this, and promises that it will not happen again. And he is also very uncomfortable that the guy had to drive the vehicle instead of him. The girls tell him that there is no problem with it, although Bertham would probably like to rest and is not happy that everything turned out this way. While everyone is having fun and relaxing, he watches the road and tries to remember where to turn at the next intersection. Along the way, the friends have already decorated the little pig. They put decorations on it. They are having fun as much as they can. Half an hour passed. They returned home very quickly, and now the most interesting part begins. Bertham came with them, and Carla thought to meet three. She has already seen the guy, is waiting for what they will tell her, and with her whole appearance shows that she is not happy to see someone. Anna greeted her mother and pretended that everything was okay, but it wasn't. The neighbor went home. She decided not to interfere in something that was none of her business, and then it started. Firstly, the woman didn't like the piglet. She asked why they took it with them at all, and warned that she wasn't going to take care of it. Secondly, I asked directly what this person was doing here. He should have been back where he came from a long time ago, and it sounded very rude. The woman says that they no longer have any work for him, and even hinted that all the help he had given them before was useless efforts. The guy asked if he understood everything correctly, to which she replied that if necessary, she could redo it again. Anna felt very ashamed. She imagines how hurt it is for Bertram to hear this, but he holds on. But the most interesting thing is not this, but that he said that he would probably stay here and would be ready to receive any tasks, as if he did not care whether they allowed him to do it or not. The woman starts getting angry. She asks what he allows you to do, and the guy replied that he could leave. But if he died, it would be on her conscience, so he thought that if he stayed, everyone would be better off. Anna is delighted with how he manages to get out of any situation. The guy even persuaded the woman to leave this piglet, and only so as not to leave him alone, and so that he does not fall into the hands of villains. Carla agreed. The grandfather stood aside all this time, as if he had nothing to do with it. He is very grateful to the guy that he decided everything himself. He didn't even have to help. Carla promised that sooner or later she won't be so kind, but these are just words. She always says this when she has nothing to say, but wants to look strict. She really wanted to finally live without strangers to relax. But everything remained as it was, and a little piglet was added, who will now have to look for food, make sure that he doesn't run away, and that no one steals him. Meanwhile, these two had already found a place for him. They were happy like little children, and at that moment, the grandfather asked Carla to look in their direction and asked, "Isn't it wonderful that everyone is happy and content? And for this to happen, all you need is for everyone to be there." He asked her not to be so angry, because if the guy left, as they agreed, her daughter would be offended for a very long time, and most likely, they would constantly quarrel. After this conversation, the woman rethought her behavior. She decided to approach her daughter and apologize for what had just happened. She also told Bertram that he could stay there as long as he wanted, and also apologized, although it was terribly hard. The main thing for her is that her daughter is happy, and if that meant he stayed, then she agreed to it. The girl was very happy. She didn't think that her mother would say something like that, and the guy also decided to apologize. He understands that he is causing inconvenience, but unfortunately, he couldn't act differently. He promised that as soon as he could safely return to his homeland, this would happen immediately. But for now, he would try to make sure that his stay here would be useful. Carla asked what he could offer, to which he replied that he would think about it. But now he would like to rest after all, the day had been very busy. So that the guy wouldn't rest too much, she asked him to be a waiter in their restaurant tonight because there were too many people. The establishment is filled with some not-so-nice people. They are literally watching him instead of looking at their plates. Bertram tries not to notice this. He only does what is required of him, carries plates, tries to do it very quickly so that the guests do not wait for a long time. The sooner they get their order, the sooner they'll leave and not stare at him. It's so busy today that even Carla is working as a waitress. She's already tired of the fact that someone constantly wants to get to know her, especially men her age. The guy watched this for a long time. He didn't follow. They were just talking so loudly that they even had to listen. He thought that he should definitely ask her if she needed any help. Finally, the working day was over. He asked for the sake of decency how the woman was feeling, and she said that she didn't even know how she would have managed without his help. After that, she thanked him and admitted that it was indeed much easier with him. Bertram wished him good night and went to rest. If a woman says that she is very tired, it is difficult to imagine how tired he is that day. He doesn't even have the strength to look under his feet. He's so tired that he walks from memory, not even looking at the road. At this time, Anna is watching him. She specially waited for him to be alone, just to scare him and then ask him how he's doing. She laughs at him, asks why he is so sad, as if he didn't know that he had just worked the whole night as a waiter, although because of this he could barely stand on his feet anyway. The girl said it was just a surprise and she thought he would be happy. After that, he asked him to go back because he himself wanted to find the abandoned building that he had mentioned a couple of days ago. She asked him what he needed it for, and he thought it might be a good place to hide for a while if someone came for him. Anna heard that this place is called Cursed, but in this situation, it doesn't matter to him, and the main thing is that few people know about it. She began to dissuade him because he could go there tomorrow, but for some reason it seemed to him that danger could await him today. After they deceived those people, it would be better to spend the night in the castle than to stay up all night and listen to every rustle. Anna even thought that he could be deceiving her. She doesn't believe that a person could want to go to that cursed place, because there are other abandoned places around where you can hide. He asks if she is afraid that her mother will wake up at night and see that she is nowhere to be found. And when she finds out that she has gone after him, she will definitely kick him out, and maybe even along with her for educational purposes. She doesn't even know what to say to this, but she can't go home either. The girl doesn't notice how attached she has become to him, but this could be dangerous for her. At that moment, she asked to stop because she had not had time to rest. She saw a big rock and thought, why not climb up there and admire the view? She has never been in the forest at night. For her, it is like an adventure, but for him it is all very familiar. From here, you can see the castle very well. It may seem that it is very close, but it takes at least half an hour to get there, Anna asked. Again, how sure he was that this was a good idea. There could be wild animals there that were much more dangerous than those soldiers. No one knows who might be there. Suddenly there are villains, some wolves or anyone else who is better not to approach. On the one hand, Everything looks very tempting. There will still be some memories, but on the other hand, it is impossible to predict how everything might turn out. It's not as scary with him as it would be if she were here alone, but still, Bertham is tired and not as cheerful as he could be. She again said that they could find another place, but he replied that if she was scared, he wouldn't force her to accompany him. Anna realized that now she could either stay or go back through the dark forest because he didn't have time to see her back. After that, she didn't say a single word to him. She just followed him, and he was already looking around to see how safe it was here. It's not a bad castle, it's very clean here, and if he had known about it earlier, maybe he would have settled somewhere here. The girl is shaking all over. She has already imagined the worst outcome. She doesn't want to go further, but it's better to stay close to him. He really likes that everything here is arranged in such a way that you can move in and live. At least for a few days for sure. There is even a kitchen here. Firewood. The only thing missing is lighting, but he did not expect comfortable conditions. At this point, she asks him to stop and says that she needs to tell him something. She didn't want to tell him about this before, but in fact, someone got hurt here. It was her father. For a girl, this is a very difficult topic. Probably that's why she didn't want to appear here. To which he asked if her father hadn't died during the war, to which she replied that he had, just in the last year. He did not die in battle. As many thought, her father often came here, said that he was engaged in research of agricultural crops. All these items were also brought here by her father. He made a very long journey, and since then this castle has been associated with him only. He was drafted into the army at the end of the war. He was a little short of time, and she still feels very sorry that everything turned out that way. He told her how cruel it was, that every day felt like it was her last, but she couldn't even imagine what it was like to be there and not just listen to the story. The girl doesn't even want to think about what he saw with his own eyes every day, so she never asked about it. She burst into tears from such memories. She could no longer hold back. After all, this is the most painful topic. Anna is a very strong girl. She was able to calm down and even smiled because she understands that you just need to come to terms with this. Nothing can be returned. You just need to remember your father as a hero, thanks to whom everything is fine now. Even if the country lost, it will still consider him a hero. Even the guy who almost never has any emotions became so sad that you can see it on his face. Anna asked to change the topic. She began to amuse herself because if she thinks about it too long, sooner or later she will go crazy. In the end, in order to at least somehow please her, he agreed to return home, and he will come here tomorrow night. Time flew by very quickly. It felt like 1 second. They didn't even have time to rest and enjoy sleep. Out of habit, Carla looks from the very morning as if she forgot that they made up and there is no longer any need to pretend such emotions. She made everyone work at once. Then she saw that they were no longer sleeping. Anna looked good, but Bertham could use some rest. In any case, since he himself promised to help, now it was my responsibility and there could be no more excuses. The girl's mother noticed that these two are always together. She's already starting to dislike it. Even though nothing special is happening, she shows with her whole appearance how unhappy she is with it. The woman asks why he is standing idle, but he only swept and took a minute to rest. He answers her that if someone had lived these 2 days instead of him, they wouldn't have asked such questions. He was asked to sweep. He did it. Something else needs to be done. He won't refuse. And he also asked not to spoil his mood from the very morning. Carla justifies herself by saying that he misunderstood her, that she didn't say that he was slacking off, she just asked him to speed up. He didn't even listen to her. He just went outside. There was something he needed to do there too because it was unbearable to be here. The woman approached him. She decided to apologize for her behavior, explained that she was just used to treating him like that and would try to solve something about it. She feels terribly awkward and will be grateful if he understands and doesn't take offense. He told her that he would think about what to do, but she couldn't hold back and got very angry. A woman hates apologizing, especially to guys. Then she got tired of screaming. She gave in, and from the outside it was a little funny. The guy was even glad that he couldn't show emotions, otherwise she would definitely be offended. After that, she said that he can do whatever he wants. The main thing is to help and not sit still. She can't stand slackers. Sometimes she even doesn't like this trait in herself because when she's very tired, she still does something and can't stop until she falls asleep. Even now, it continues on itself that it stands still, but it could have already done something useful. She thought about blaming him for this too, but kept quiet so that she wouldn't have to apologize again later. In the end, he calmly went outside, said that he would find something to do that he liked and promised to rest less. Bertham can't imagine how hard it will be for Anna when she grows up and when she can be forced to do something serious. The girl will just be all about work. And meanwhile, the woman is so used to being indignant that she even gets angry now, although she doesn't understand why. There is no one around. She starts calling loudly for her daughter, and she was very close and asked with the same cry why she can't call normally. She almost went deaf. It so happened that these two met again near the piglet. He came to the lake, and they pretended as if they came to make sure that he did not drown. In fact, they just want to communicate. They even do it as if they don't even look at each other. Bertham is already a little tired. He can't imagine how one can work constantly, not rest, and also force others. He doesn't remember a single day when Carla lay quietly on the couch and didn't come up with any tasks for anyone. The girl said that she has already gotten used to it, although she understands that usually in other families everything is different. Parents at least do not force their children to work, but with them, unfortunately, everything is the other way around. Mom always says that she should get used to working from childhood, supposedly later. When she grows up, no one will do it for her, and she needs to be able to do everything. The girl apparently caught her mother's bad mood. She is indignant why he is so taciturn, although she herself should understand why he is like this. The guy simply can't say that he was so exhausted in 2 days that he never got tired even in the most serious battles in the war. You can see how he is holding back because if he behaves the same way as them, it will not lead to anything good. He just got a little angry. She said it looked cute. He didn't even have words to respond to it. He just wants to hide somewhere far away so that they would look for him for a long time and never find him. Lately, he hasn't even seen anyone smile or heard a single good word. And that's not all. Their restaurant is supposed to open in an hour, and they need to prepare for that too. Carla noticed that there was no one near the mop. No one was washing the floors and began to look around to see who to entrust this to. Since Anna is busy preparing supplies right now, she can't give her the job, and Bertham is nowhere to be seen. She asked where he was because she was sure she must know where he was hiding by now. The girl says that she hasn't seen him, and now she doesn't have time to go look for him. So Carla had to do it. Anna only now realized that he could use some rest. She started to stop her mother because it seemed that if she asked him for anything else now, he would just leave them. She runs out after her mother, but Carla is not interested in anything except the washed floors, which she does not intend to wash. Eventually, she found him, noticed that he wasn't in the best shape, clearly wasn't idle. So she thought maybe she should let him rest. Then she saw his scratched hand. She was very scared because she has been afraid of such things since childhood. She hates the sight, the smell, and everything connected with blood. Carla can't react to it normally. She couldn't even turn away. She just froze in place and doesn't speak. Then the woman realized that no one else could help him except her, and asked him to return home immediately. She urgently needed to treat her hand. She just had some bandages and the product they had already used to treat the wounds. Bertham didn't think that someone would do this, that Carla would find time for him. She is always very busy. Then he realized that she just didn't want him to lie on the bed, so she quickly helped him to help her in return. Meanwhile, at some point, he decided to have a serious talk with her. The guy hinted that he was very tired lately. If he gets so many tasks and doesn't rest, his productivity will drop. She told him that she didn't want to talk about it because she thought that everyone should work. She was so used to it and didn't see anything wrong with it. He says that if it's normal for her, it doesn't mean it's normal for others. And also, even though he stayed here on some terms, it doesn't mean that he's a servant here who doesn't have the right to lie down. Even if he did only half as much, it would still be enough. And when she heard it, she got so angry that she started to scare him. Supposedly, if he doesn't like something here, then she doesn't keep him. Only those who like to work live here, although this can still be argued. They couldn't have a normal conversation. They are two different people. Clara really sees how he tries, but he is not going to live by her rules. The woman was tired of discussing this. She still didn't understand what this whole conversation was about. She took his words as temporary fatigue, but everything is much more serious. At that moment, Bertham dared to say that as soon as he left here, she would see how much work he did. He managed to do so much in a day that even 4 people couldn't do it. If she's not going to appreciate what he's doing, then it's easier for him to sleep on the street than to stay here. And he also suggested that she swap responsibilities for one day. She would do as much as he usually does and vice versa. Naturally, she imagined the amount of work and immediately refused. Someone realized that they had been overdoing it lately. Carla promised that she would think about it, and then they would return to this conversation. The next day came. Nothing foreshadowed trouble. Everyone woke up calmly. Only Bertham forgot that he wanted to go to the castle, and very much in vain. Those people who are looking for him in all the villages and cities came to them from the very morning. Anna saw them and immediately realized that they had come for him. They were very angry. Apparently, they hadn't had enough rest. And she also began to worry not only about the guy, but also about the neighbor, because it was she who had deceived them and wasted their time. So that they wouldn't come into the house, she suggested that they go to their restaurant and have breakfast. But she herself was nervous because she understood that if Bertham went out into the street and they saw him, everything would be lost. They were all very surprised that there was a restaurant somewhere here. The girl said that it was their family business and that they had very tasty food. She even recommended some dishes, but we didn't listen to her and still agreed to stay here. Anna doesn't notice how she looks from the outside. She's very nervous, and if someone notices it, there could be problems. Out of the blue, they hadn't even entered the restaurant when he was already asking if she knew a man named Bertham. He tells her that if she helps them and tells them where he can be found, they will give her some kind of gift. No one just knows that she can't be bribed with this. At this point, she decided to drag out time, began to be indignant that they were treating her like a child, even offering her something incomprehensible. And she knows that usually adults get something worthwhile for such help. She told them that she didn't know this man, and the knight was already confused and forgot that he was going to breakfast. He is not used to communicating with children. He yelled at her because he does not understand that since she does not know anyone, then why is she talking about some kind of reward and what is the point of it? The girl replied that, firstly, if her mother heard someone yelling at her, everyone would regret it very much. And secondly, even if she knew that person, after the words that for help they would give her something sweet, she would not even help. They tell her that she doesn't know who she's talking to which she replies that she doesn't care and goes to her neighbor. Anna tells the whole story. Lara is speechless. They need to come up with something urgently too. These people are already here, but for some reason instead of telling the guy about it, they are wasting time and he still doesn't know about anything. In the end, she came back to them and still offered to cook breakfast for everyone, as if nothing had just happened. They have no choice. Everyone is very hungry, and there is no other place in the area, only this restaurant. Anna watches them very closely, controls each soldier so that no one goes anywhere. The girl doesn't understand how to warn Bertham, because he is resting peacefully in his room and doesn't suspect anything. She tries to smile, deliberately very slowly brings out everyone's orders because the longer they are here, the more time the guy will have to escape. She really hopes that someone will tell him something and he will just go to the castle or somewhere else while she is here distracting everyone. The girl asks the cook to cook the food very slowly. They are drinking their drinks and don't suspect anything. A lot of time passed. About half an hour, she took out each plate separately, although she could take several at once. Anna is happy because it has been a long time since they had someone order so much food, and it would be nice if they left at least some tips. She even forgot when she last cooked so much. And in the meantime, grandfather came in. He also came to have breakfast. I had to pretend that nothing special was happening. She was talking to him nicely, but he already felt that something was wrong. The man greeted the visitors, even specifically saying hello to each of them, and thus delayed them even longer. At that moment, the knight asked if they could discuss something. They stepped aside and sat down at the next tables. The boy asks if the grandfather knows a man named Bertham, and if he knows this man, he would like to know where he can be found. Grandfather tells him that he has lived here for a very long time, knows every inhabitant of the village, knows all their names, but has never seen or heard of any Bertham. He said everything as it should be. The knight got angry, but still thanked him for the answer. After all, he could not miss the opportunity to ask him about this man. The man said that if they had any more questions, he would be happy to help, and he smiled as if he was happy that he had managed to get into character so well. He acts very confident. He even said that there is no point in approaching anyone else with this question because he is the only one here who knows everyone. And if he doesn't know that guy, then no one else can know him. This is not the most pleasant news. Meanwhile, the girl has already brought him food. She heard everything. That's why she smiles. Everything is under control for now. She thought that Grandpa would quickly finish eating, go warn Bertham, and everything would be fine. And in the meantime, a neighbor came to the restaurant whom they already remembered. It was she who deceived them then. The knight couldn't get to her. He told her that she was wrong, and they had just wasted the whole day because of her. And also he was bitten by a horse. She didn't care so much about it that she just laughed and said that she had conveyed what she had seen, and the fact that they hadn't caught him was none of her business. He can't stand it anymore. He forgot about his food, and he's really annoyed that Anna is walking around all happy while nothing good is happening. In fact, she deliberately brings them things that they didn't even order. She sees that they have a good appetite, and they can eat more than they planned. She offers each person an extra portion, and even says that it will be free. The main thing for her is to keep them here longer, let them scream, get indignant, get nervous. But at least Bertham is safe for now. After he left, some time passed, everyone was already full. They stopped being so aggressive. Now they have full strength. All that remains is to hope that the guy hid and someone warned him. He had time, and Anna had already done everything she could. It was time to pay. But when she said how much they owed, the knight didn't quite understand how this could be. They were in a village restaurant, and he thought that the prices here were lower, especially since she said that some dishes would be free for them. At first, she was a little scared, but then she pulled herself together and explained that despite the fact that their restaurant is in the village, it complies with all the rules and, in her humble opinion, is even better than some other establishments in the city. They use the best products, are constantly developing, learning, and have a special attitude towards each guest. And since the food and service are at a good level, then the payment for all this should be appropriate. The knight didn't say anything to her about this. He silently paid for the food. She wished him a good day, and they left. He himself understands that for such a village the restaurant is really not bad, but still, he thought he would pay less, and therefore was a little upset. Finally, the guy said that your food is really delicious. If they are ever here, they will definitely come back to them again. It was very nice. Usually guests don't say anything like that, and now she's in a great mood for the whole day. For some reason, he can't get on his horse for a long time, although Anna is happy. She wants them to leave as soon as possible. Meanwhile, they are already walking around the city, looking at local residents and trying to recognize a familiar face. They are a bit confusing to people. There are children and their parents walking around everywhere, and the knight with the soldiers spoils the whole atmosphere. They already feel how everyone is starting to look at them strangely. So they decided to speed up, because they themselves do not want to stay here for long. Their leader is sure that they are already very close to Bertham. All that remains is not to idle and get down to business. For this, one of them even started helping a local housewife who was washing clothes by the lake. If only she would tell him something. They need any information, and for this they are ready to do anything, even wash other people's clothes. But when the girl said that she didn't know this man, the soldier got upset because it turned out that he had wasted his time. The commander immediately yelled at him. He was unhappy that everything was going so slowly. Although he himself was not doing anything, he was just rushing everyone. The knight decided to show how to talk to girls. He is sure that the soldier simply asked the questions incorrectly, and now there will be a master class. He started smiling at her, said how beautiful she was, made a few more compliments, and in a very sweet voice asked if she had any friends who were often on the street and could see the person they needed. She also answered him that she didn't know any such people. The soldiers wanted to laugh, but were afraid that they would be punished for it later. The knight pretended that he was not upset, although inside he was very ashamed because it was a disgrace to show how it should be done, but he did not succeed. And also, the girl started saying that if they didn't leave her right now, she would call her husband and he would deal with him. The guy got angry that she wasn't helping them, as if he thought she was hiding something from them. In all the time they have been looking for Bertham, there has not been a single case where someone has helped them. The guy can't control himself anymore. He puts a lot of moral pressure on her, and after that the girl couldn't take it anymore. She cried because they scared her. But she just wanted to wash her clothes and didn't do anything wrong. He had to apologize to her. He said that he had gone a bit too far, asked her not to be afraid of them because no one wanted it to turn out like this. Then they went further, decided to stop everyone they met because otherwise they simply wouldn't find him. I wonder where the guy is now. Did he manage to hide? We can only hope for that. These people themselves don't even know where to go. They seem to be walking around the village without any specific goal. It's hard to believe, but Bertham is still in the house. He hasn't gone anywhere, but really, no one has told him anything. He calmly washes the floors, suspects nothing, hears nothing, and yet they are already much closer than he can imagine. Here, he has already arrived at the restaurant, decided to sweep the area, and new customers have already arrived for lunch. They asked if they could order anything, and he replied that no problem. He would call the cook now to write down their order. These people come here every day. They love their restaurant, and there hasn't been a single day that they haven't shown up here. This means that Anna and her mom are really trying. They put their soul into it, and not only it's impossible to watch him calmly talking to visitors, but he should have been somewhere far away a long time ago. They have already received their food. They praise the cook. It is impossible to tear yourself away from these soups. They have never tasted anything more delicious. This is their regular order. Bertham couldn't resist either. He ordered himself a portion and talked to them a little more. Meanwhile, almost a day has passed. Evening has come. Those people are still in the village. They have not received any information. Very upset, the knight thinks to stay here somewhere for the night, because he simply cannot withstand another long journey there and back. They were so tired that they probably wouldn't even notice if a guy walked past them. Grandpa came up to them. He asked how they were doing with the investigation, but they didn't even want to talk to him. They were so fed up with everything. They want to return to the city, but they can't. When suddenly, the man gave a clue. As if a couple of minutes ago, he saw a person similar to the one they needed. He doesn't trust anyone anymore. He contradicts himself. He wanted to cling to any information, but he reacts as if a man should do it for him. He talks like that. Someone owes him something here, but Grandpa just wanted to help. At least he pretends to. Even then, he became interested in deceiving soldiers. He is very good at it. And also, he's probably too bored after all. There's nothing to do at home. And here at least there's something interesting. The knight tells him that if there is no verified information, then he will not even go anywhere. It's already dinner time. They return to this restaurant again. Anna was happy because it meant that they hadn't found anyone yet. The soldiers, unlike their commander, were in a good mood. They asked for advice on what to order so that this dinner would be the most delicious in their lives. The girl promised that she would do everything herself. It would be a surprise for them, and everyone agreed, even the knight. Then she approached them to clarify about drinks. This time, everyone chose compote. After all, it was time to rest soon, and they were afraid to order something more interesting in front of the knight. While the food is being prepared, the girl entertains the guests. She smiles, but inside she is already starting to get nervous because she still doesn't know what's going on with the Bertham. She tries to pay attention to everyone, but in her thoughts she only has that he is already somewhere in the castle. But how wrong she is. It's lucky he left before the knight and his soldiers got here. Otherwise there would have been big trouble. Without realizing it, she started talking to the knight, started asking how long he had been doing this, and said that she would also like to conduct such investigations. He says that it is not as easy as it may seem, and also said that he really does not like it when he is deceived. And at the same time, he grabbed my hand, as if hinting at something. At that very moment, her mother enters the restaurant. She doesn't see anything yet, but if she does, there will be a scandal. The woman came to say that they are working a couple of hours less than usual today, so guests should take this into account. Anna didn't understand what happened. Decided to ask about it later anyway. The shoulders were already their people. Mom won't tell her anything. The guy greeted her. He said that during that day he got so used to this place that he was very sorry that they were closing early today. He wanted to stay here until late at night and even asked to make an exception for them. But it is impossible. Carla upset him, but explained that this was a forced decision and she could not do otherwise. At that moment, the girl thought that since her mother was here, she could talk to them, and she ran off to Bertham's. She hadn't seen him since the morning. She ran away so quickly that the knight thought to run after her. But Clara stopped him in time. She said she wanted to talk to him a little more, but in reality, that's not the case at all. It's night outside. It's impossible to believe that they didn't find the guy in such a small village. Apparently, he's very lucky. Anna is already knocking on his window. She doesn't even know what's better, for him to be here or for him not to be here. He went to the window, and she was so happy, as if he was already safe. But this was not the case, and they were about to have a very serious conversation, so there is little time left. But first, she wants to feed him, and she also said that there was no trace of her, and she is here alone. Bertham is very grateful to her. The girl prepared a very filling dinner, so that if anything happens, there will be enough strength until the morning. It turns out she didn't come home, but to some other place. Grandfather advised him to hide here, and that's what he did. While he eats, they talk about the chances that those people will soon leave, and leave everyone alone. If the knight is convinced that there is no one here, he will not come back here again, and Bertham will be able to live peacefully. She tells him that they have been here all day. They will probably go looking for him further. The main thing is that they don't come here right at the very last moment. And also it's lucky that they don't enter houses without the owner's permission. Perhaps it would be possible not to leave the house at all. But here too, it will be good for him. At some point, the guy started to confide in her. He behaved differently than usual with an anxious voice. He admitted that it was unbearable without her here. He was not used to being alone for so long, and during this time he realized how much he had become accustomed to her. To everyone else too, but to her in a special way. Anna was embarrassed and doesn't even know what to answer to this. She put her hand on his hand. She did it very gently, as if hinting that it was mutual. It was hard for her too. She never thought she would worry about a person she knew so little. He became more than just a friend to her. There is some kind of connection between them. And maybe they themselves don't notice it yet. The guy no longer perceives her as a little girl. He looks at her as a beautiful girl, without whom there is no more meaning in his life. She tells him that he can relax. The girl feels what he wants to tell her and understands how difficult it usually is. Bertham is very happy that she understands him and said that it is very easy with her, as if they have known each other all their lives. And then, a serious conversation began, from which her heart began to pound. The guy asked her to describe how she saw him, because judging by how much she helps him, that she is ready to accept all his shortcomings, Bertham is not just a good friend to her. He understands that it won't be easy for her to tell him this, but he wants to hear it so much that he's ready to wait as long as it takes. And also, he is very afraid that at some point, he will no longer be able to live without her help. He will not be able to live on his own, and he will constantly be drawn only to her. The guy took her hand and said that if she felt uncomfortable with him, she could confess or leave if she wanted to. It is important for him to know that they are both comfortable with each other, that he is not pressuring her, not forcing her, not causing her pity. The girl asked how he could think about such a thing, because if she communicates with someone or cares about someone, it means that she does it only with pleasure, especially since she told him about it many times. And after that, she said that since he was asking these questions, it was time to admit that she herself did not know why she treated him this way. This desire always arises inside. She just wants to see him happy and feel that he is grateful for it. After that, she admitted that her biggest fear is that if he leaves and she has to get used to living without him. They took each other's hands again. She asked him to let her get to know him better. And if necessary, she was ready to open up herself so that they could become closer. A couple of hours passed. The girl returned home. Her mother was not sleeping and was already ready to tell how they set her up. She told how terrible it was for her to communicate with those people, how she didn't want to do it, and that after that she would have to recover for a long time. All the people she wanted to spend so much time with. Anna apologized and thanked her for it because she couldn't say anything else. Not only did the soldiers not go anywhere, they also stayed overnight right in the restaurant, and even beds had to be moved for them. She wouldn't be able to stand it if someone slept in her house. Anna understands what her mother had to go through, but at the same time, she understands that there is no other way. The next day came. Just as dawn appeared, the dwarf was already busy and already in a bad mood because the soldiers were still here. Besides them, she has plenty of other worries. She came to the restaurant and saw unpeeled onions, but she is not going to peel them herself. She knows that the guy couldn't possibly do this, but at the same time, she's angry at him, as if he was just too lazy. People who want to have breakfast before work are already gathering in the restaurant, but they don't have any preparations. Mom says she has to help her and won't leave here until they feed all these people. This is the price for how she helped everyone out yesterday, naturally. The girl couldn't refuse because it's too dangerous to invite here. It seems to her that those people will come here again, just as the night is already nearby and very soon, all the others will come to him. Carla says she doesn't care how her daughter does it, but she can't let them stay here for long. Otherwise, she will serve them herself, as Carla did yesterday. She will never forget that day. She hasn't worked so much for a long time. She is the kind of person who is used to shifting all the work onto others, just so as not to overexert herself. Meanwhile, half a day passed, Bertham dared to come to their restaurant, but before that, he did not even make sure that there were no soldiers there. He talked a little with Anna's mother, didn't even have breakfast, and went off to an unknown destination, although she thought he would help. Carla didn't tell him anything. She didn't even have time to realize what happened. Everything looks like he's leaving them. She hadn't seen him like this for a long time. She even wanted to follow him, but there was a lot of work around. There was nothing interesting during this time. It's already evening. The day has flown by, and these people are still here. And a little more, and Carla will ask them, what is the point of them staying here? If all they do anyway is eat in a restaurant, and no one is looking for anyone. It is clear that they have relaxed too much. He has not yelled at anyone for a long time and has stopped controlling everyone. They come here as if it were their home. The woman is holding on so as not to close the restaurant for a couple of days. Otherwise, they will definitely leave here. She also doesn't like that this guy is constantly picking on her daughter and sometimes even behaves very rudely. Meanwhile, Anna had already made all the preparations. Somehow asked her mother for permission and went to Bertham in that castle. Today, the guy decided to stay here. He even took some things with him, so that if something happened, he could quickly escape. The girl is very happy to see him. She said that very soon everything will be fine and they will finally be free. She blushes in front of him. She used to feel embarrassed about it, but now she's so comfortable with him that she doesn't think about it anymore. For some reason, he is silent, although she knows that he has no emotions. Today, he is somehow different. Like yesterday, she brought him dinner. It's already a tradition. Today, they have vegetables, her signature pie, fruits, and tea. She said that these soldiers eat so much that they have no reserves left. She has not eaten anything all day, and this is her first meal. Then she asked him how he felt sitting there in the dark, alone. And he said that he had spent most of his life like this, so he was used to it. In a couple of days, he learned to distinguish sounds very well. When Anna thinks that there is someone else here, he immediately says that it is either a draft or stray animals. He has even met some of them. To make things less boring, he started telling jokes. They were very famous, but the girl had never heard them. Some time passed, and he admitted that he had been thinking all day about talking to the knight right here in this castle. The girl asked him to explain why this was necessary, to which he replied that he was already tired of running and hiding. He just needed to solve everything. She doesn't even know what to say to that. But Bertham explained that he doesn't want to cause inconvenience to everyone. It's because of him that all the residents can't go out into the street in peace because there are soldiers everywhere who don't give them peace. He believes that if he is destined to return to his homeland, then it should happen. The only problem is when it comes to their relationship. He says they can keep in touch, but if she wants something more, they'll have to talk it over and decide. If he has to quickly pack all his things and leave, they should already know what to do. The guy understands how all this scares her, that she was not prepared for this, but this is reality. They are already adults and must think ahead. Anna tells him that it's all very complicated. She's afraid to admit to herself what she would like with him in the future. She is nervous, so she suggested changing the environment, for example, going outside. There is no one there now anyway. He agreed because he didn't care that someone might notice him. And she looked around out of habit. The girl asks why he is so calm, to which he asks who they should be afraid of. He has already decided everything for himself. After that, he suggested not to think about the bad. This night can be made much more pleasant if you forget about the problems. Moreover, he didn't ask her to worry so much. Everything is under control. The weather is just so calm now and he wouldn't want to ruin everything. Anna promised that she would try to relax, although it was obvious from her expression that it was impossible. She brought him to the very same stone where they stood a couple of days ago, and Bertham suggested not to say anything for a couple of minutes and feel the atmosphere. The girl looks down. She tried to listen to him, but her heart is very worried. She has come up with all sorts of problems for herself. Nothing has happened yet, and she is already in such a state as if they had parted forever. Nothing foreshadowed trouble. Bertham spoke for some feelings. She was so scared that she stumbled right on the stone. The girl can't control herself, she screams, falls, and the guy immediately jumps after her like a real man. And in the meantime, her mother is still awake. She had some kind of bad feeling, and so she went out to check something. She saw that a lot of food was missing, then she went into her daughter's room, but she wasn't there either. The first thought that came to her mind was to go feed that guy again. But she had no desire to follow him. Then she thought that they had brought too much with them for it to be a normal dinner. It looks more like some kind of escape. After that, the woman could no longer sleep. She began to look for her everywhere because she still had hope that she had misunderstood everything, and they were somewhere nearby. The woman thought that there could be no one there, but that knight quietly approached her and asked what she was doing there. Carla was indignant because she should be asking what he was doing here and asked him to move away from her. Then she asked him why he wasn't sleeping, and he replied that he had been taught to wake up if he heard something unusual. Then he says that since they met, he has some question. He heard about a farm where, according to rumors, treasures may be buried and asked what she knows about it. Carla hears about this for the first time. He got angry, as if he thought that she would tell him something about it so easily. Literally, a couple of minutes passed. He had already gathered everyone else. They hadn't gotten enough sleep and already had to run for the horses to go somewhere. The woman doesn't understand what's going on. He keeps telling her different information. At first, he wanted to find treasure. And now, they're all gathering to check if there are any villains in the area. The guy says he doesn't see anything wrong with it. They are used to leading a nocturnal lifestyle. For them, it's like a normal daytime walk. Carla understands perfectly well that they are not telling her everything and even thought about following them. Then she remembered that they are on horses, and she won't even be able to catch up with them. Meanwhile, Bertham saved the girl. He made her fall on him and not hit the ground. She told him that she didn't think the rocks were so slippery, and still hasn't said anything to him. No nice words. The guy said that now someone should thank for the help, and she laughed and apologized because for some reason she didn't think about it. Then she realized how rude it was on her part, thanked him properly and felt terribly awkward. Then they got cold. She covered herself with something big and warm, and he said that he was fine as is. Bertham again says that he loves when everything is planned and hates being in a situation where he doesn't have a plan. The girl admitted that she only likes the plan where they end up together, like now. She says that he is so strong and big that it is hard to believe that he has to run away from some soldiers that he can handle in no time. They didn't finish talking about it. They started falling asleep right on the street without even returning to the castle or house. Anna Speed doesn't even know how scared her mother is right now. She won't have the most pleasant morning. The next day came. The guy woke up earlier. He immediately woke her up. It was hard to wake up, but there was no choice. He saw how hard it was for her. He decided to carry her in his arms so she could wake up, especially since she was much smaller than him, and he hardly felt it. They were walking with a very beautiful view, just as dawn came. Only if it weren't for all these problems, it would have felt completely different. Anna looks ahead, is very worried, although she understands that nothing depends on her anymore. She doesn't even know what the plan is for the day, where Bertham will be today, and those people have already left. She asked him to go slower. She is very afraid of meeting the knight. She thinks that they will take him with them, and she will have to go home alone. Unlike the girl, the guy doesn't think about anything at all. He's not as afraid of everything as she is. He tried to explain things to her before, but nothing worked, so he just tries to cheer her up a little. Anna asked to go through the most beautiful views. She wants this morning to be remembered for a long time, because it is unknown if they will be able to walk like this again, together, where there is no one around. The girl thanked him for that night and morning, and he replied that soon this would happen every day. She really wants to believe this because if they have to be separated for some time again, even if it's half a day, she won't be able to bear it. Bertham can't promise anything. He only knows one thing. They will have to live together either here or in his homeland. They didn't even have time to finish speaking when Clara came up to them. She had been looking for them for several hours. She was very angry, and she had something to say. She doesn't even want to listen to anyone. She said that if we have to look for one of them again, she will forbid them to leave the yard, and if someone does, they will never come back. She started to change the guy, that he always takes a girl with him, although he knows perfectly well that in such cases it is necessary to warn the parents. Anna is a minor. Her mother is obliged to know where her child is every second. The girl wants to explain something, but she just doesn't listen to her. Clara is already all red and begins to regret that she allowed someone to stay with them. She's so fed up with all this that she grabs the guy by the clothes, orders him to apologize immediately, and because of her screaming, she doesn't hear how someone else joins them. Anna accidentally looked to the side and saw that the knight and his soldiers were literally 100 meters away from them. Her heart sank very much. She was scared because now her future with Bertham depended on how everything ended. Carla stopped screaming. Everyone calmed down because now it was the knight's turn, and he clearly had something to say. He looked at Bertham with a very menacing look, as if he were prey that he had been chasing for too long. You might have thought that something cruel was about to happen, but the guy didn't even say hello to him. He grabbed him by the clothes, put him on the floor, and asked what he was doing there. Everyone doesn't understand it that way, but it's unlikely that the knight would dare to say anything after that. Anna didn't expect this from him. She felt that everything wasn't so bad, and she was already imagining a picture of the knight running away and begging not to touch him. The knight is silent. He grabs his head and tries to move away, but Bertham asked a question and wants to get an answer to it. All the guards are standing behind. They are afraid to even approach, so as not to end up in the commander's place. Someone was brave and shouted that they were in the majority and he had better give up, but it even sounded funny. In the end, they all returned to the restaurant. Everything doesn't look so scary. Anna is now even less worried than before. The knight may be angry, but he lasts because no one is afraid of him here. The guy advised him to talk less, but he listens to him and gets angry at himself for it. All this time, he created the impression of a formidable commander. And now, he can't even leave here without his permission. The situation has turned upside down. It is impossible to guess how it will end. Carla also imagined it all differently. She can't believe her eyes when she looks at it. How all these people are having lunch. Bertham is not threatened by anything and no one. Everything is even somehow the opposite. The guy is in control of the situation. Everyone listens to him. Even she doesn't really want to attract unnecessary attention to herself. Meanwhile, they went with him to a meeting. But everything should have been the other way around. The soldiers want to listen to Franz because everything somehow doesn't look like it should have been. Carla asks to immediately explain what is happening and why they were afraid all the time, hiding him, if he took control of everything so easily. The guy says that firstly it was fun, And secondly, it was a little test to see if he could rely on them. Carla doesn't even get upset. She told him that he is a strange person and that she won't fall for his tricks anymore. The main thing for her now is that everything is fine. At least she doesn't have any worries inside. Meanwhile, the guy warned her that it was better not to raise anyone's voice now. French was under their control now, but that didn't mean it would always be like that. Bertham knows him very well. This man needs to be intimidated to the end and not given a drop of freedom. As soon as he feels that someone is afraid of him, all efforts will be in vain. She said that she understood everything and said in advance that as soon as everything was over, she would have a very serious conversation with him, and this concerns not only his residence here. She managed to ruin the mood, he told her so. Although in fact, he had already decided everything for himself a long time ago, and she would not stop him. The woman tells him that she doesn't even know what to talk about. They need to make these people leave, because now they are just wasting their time, or he understands this perfectly well. He just needed to step away to gain the strength to change the situation. The woman asked what exactly he was going to do, and he replied that she would see everything for herself in a couple of minutes. He promised that in just a couple of hours there would be no one here, if of course everything goes according to plan. They agreed so much that they already forgot that Anna was there with them. And knowing those people, they could take advantage of this. Had to quickly go down to the first floor. Carla is looking for her daughter, and at that moment, remembers that if someone wanted to eat, then they have nothing. They only have unpeeled onions, potatoes, and a couple of other vegetables. In that case, she doesn't even get upset because no one else is going to feed them. Back then, they did it so that they would linger here and not find the guy, but now there is no point in it. He starts going to restaurants, not even looking at anyone, and everyone is waiting for him to say something. Even the night he could have left long ago, but he sits in the same place, as Bertham told him. After some time, the guy asked their commander to go outside with him, and Anna got worried again. She's trying to cook something. She's been eavesdropping on them all this time, and now they've even left. Bertham deliberately went very far away. He stopped by a tree and told him that now everything needs to be decided. He said that he knew they had come for him, and even suggested finding some kind of compromise. Before that, the knight wants to ask him a few questions. For example, what the guy has been doing here for the last 3 years. Bertham answered that he just lived here, and the knight said that it seemed to him that someone was hiding here to avoid paying a debt. The guy says he has no debt, but the knight doesn't think so. He says he'll either have to give the money back or pay with his life. Bertham doesn't even want to hear anything about it. He hints that one more word about duty and someone will say goodbye to life, but definitely not him. At that moment, a little pig ran up to them. The French was already so tired of this village that all the animals here irritated him. He can't even look in that direction. He asked to remove this pig, and Bertham just laughed at this. And then he said that if he doesn't like it here, then no one is keeping him here. He can take all his assistants and leave where he came from. He replied that he would not wait for this because he planned to return with Bertham. The guy says that in that case he will have to share here because he's not going to leave here anywhere, especially with them. So far, everything looks like a normal conversation, although everything could have been much worse and even more dangerous. Bertham came closer with the piglet. He said directly that he was already tired of talking to him and suggested that they part peacefully. He says that it is impossible. He came here with a specific purpose and will not leave here without him. Bertham joked that if he wanted to see him so much, he could make a model or a painting to always be near him, but not physically. He didn't appreciate the joke. He thinks it's disrespectful towards him, and in general, he usually punishes him severely for it. And also, they have already spent so much time here that if necessary, they will stay for just as long. The guy doesn't take this man seriously enough to even hit him in the leg. And then he said that if they didn't leave here within an hour, he would do this all the time. Bertham understands perfectly well that he is the strongest here, and no one will dare to answer him in kind. The knight asks why he is behaving so badly, to which Bertham replies that he simply refuses to leave with them and wants to be where he is comfortable. Meanwhile, mother and daughter are still in the restaurant while Clara doesn't care what they are doing there. Anna is worried as usual. She can't find a place for herself. The worst thing that can happen is if the guy never comes back. At this moment, she wants to get at least some support from her mother, but she doesn't even say anything. She really doesn't care. The girl knew that her mother was unhappy from the first day that there were always some strangers in their house. But now everything is different. She thought that Bertham was no longer a stranger to them, but her mother didn't think so. And then she starts to joke about her, that if her mother doesn't start supporting her right now, the girl will go out into the street and help him. Clara is so tired that she doesn't care what's going on around her. She wants to relax and never hear that name again. The same thing from all sides: Bertham, knights, help, to assist, some troubles. She is tired of it. Those two are still on the street. They can't come to an agreement. They try not to start a conflict, but they can't talk calmly. No matter what time the knight is on his mission, he doesn't care about the time. But the guy is already starting to think about when it will all end. He can't just take him and drive him away. He needs to negotiate, and that's impossible with this person. He stands his ground to the last. It is impossible to offer him anything, but if they behave the same, nothing will come of it. Bertham is already using all possible manipulations. He comes closer to him with this piglet. They have already stood on opposite sides of the tree. The knight is also tired, but he does not give up. The guy thought that since they were already here, They needed to do at least something. After all, after living with Anna and her mother, it was impossible to just stand and do nothing for so long. He got into the habit of finding things to do, and the knight starts laughing and calls Anna to look at her fiancé. The guy asked him not to throw around such words. This is his personal life, which does not concern anyone else. At some point, Bertham couldn't take it anymore and just ran away from him, to stop listening to that annoying voice for at least a couple of minutes. He smiled and thought that he couldn't run away from him anyway. He would find him anyway. Meanwhile, the knight had already returned to their courtyard. He greeted the girl again, smiled. But she's not going to smile back at him. She's irritated by this man, especially when he's so happy. She asks him what he needs, and he says that she will probably have to stay in their village for a couple more days because her lover does not listen to him. The girl asked why anyone would listen to him at all. Bertham is a free man and can do what he wants, whether someone likes it or not. And also, she starts hinting that she is a little busy and he is actually distracting her. If she doesn't have time to feed the visitors, they might not come next time. And as he could already guess, they are much more important to her than he, a man who wants to ruin the lives of two people at once. Anna even turns her head towards him less on purpose, so as not to see this face, which she will soon start dreaming about. Lately, the knight has been in her life too much, so it would be better if she looked at him less. At this point, she tells him that if he is going to stand here any longer, it is better for him to help with something rather than stand around doing nothing. Naturally, he immediately became tense because he was not going to wash some fruits while he had a lot of things to do. He replied that he was not obliged to do so, to which she said that then she was not obliged to talk to him and wished him all the best. Finally, when she was already entering the restaurant, she said that it would be better if he appeared in her field of vision less often, because when she was in a bad mood, the food turned out the same. He tells her that he will still show up here. At that moment, her mother comes out and asks her to repeat it again. The girl stepped aside and laughed at him because she knows that if her mother takes charge, everything will be fine. The woman stepped on his foot and warned him that if she saw him there again, he would definitely be in trouble. If necessary, she will appeal to all local residents to unite and drive them out of here with their own efforts. She knows for sure that it is possible. You just need to ask them. But he reacted to it somehow strangely. Apparently, he understands that he is losing his power against them. Now, if he wants to achieve something, it will have to be done only peacefully and in no other way. By some miracle, he was finally allowed into the restaurant. He ordered a light lunch. Anna refused to cook for him for a long time, but he promised that he would sit quietly and would not disturb anyone. She agreed only on one condition, that he would peel the potatoes for this. This was payment for all those times when she was nervous because of him. The guy has never done this before. He is so hungry that he doesn't even resist and is ready to peel this potato. The girl and her mother start whispering. He says that it is not nice in his presence, but they just ignore him. Then she told him that his job was to peel the potatoes in silence and eat his food, and everything else was none of his business. Before, she couldn't even imagine that she could talk to him so boldly, but now, she even likes it. He does it so badly that he only wastes food. It's even painful for Anna and Carla to watch. It's very hard, but he peeled a whole basket of potatoes, leaving more waste than anything that can be cooked. Even though he doesn't know it yet, they will definitely charge him double the cost of the food, although he probably won't even notice. Meanwhile, Bertham returned to them. The girl is very happy to see him, and Knight Frank already has a couple of questions for him. It's obvious that the guy is tired. He was on his feet the whole time and apparently came to get something filling. First, he asked Anna if everything was okay, if no one was offending her here, and she said that everything was fine and that she herself was surprised by this. After that, he asked that knight to step aside so as not to spoil the beautiful moment. On the way here, Bertham picked up a few things and all so that she would just smile, and this day would become a little better for her. He picked beautiful flowers for her. It's her favorite color, and they smell so good that it's impossible to tear yourself away from it. This is the first bouquet he has given her. Anna has never been given anything like this before, so she doesn't know how to react to it. Her mother told her that she needed to take the bouquet in her hands and at least smile so that the guy wouldn't think that she didn't like it. Anna is shocked. She only looks at these flowers, her face is red, and the guy already understood that he was able to please her. In fact, she not only appreciated the gift, but also wondered what it could mean. The knight is very angry because he doesn't care about their relationship. He planned to leave here a long time ago, but nothing changes. It's as if no one notices him here. Only now the girl came to her senses. She thanked for the bouquet and said that she really loves flowers, especially pink ones. Now they will make her happy every day. This is exactly what she was missing, especially after all this stress around. He told her that if necessary, he could give them to her every day. The main thing is that she was happy and smiled. The guy thought she would just smile and put them somewhere to the side, but Anna still admires them and is truly happiest. The knight has already asked to pour him something stronger. He can't watch this calmly. He imagined it all so that he would find him. Everyone would be afraid. And in the end, Bertham calmly gives Anna flowers and doesn't even pay attention to him. Carla is not thrilled either. She doesn't really like all this romance, especially if it's also connected to her daughter. The girl noticed that they were the center of attention. She felt awkward, especially in front of her mother, who could misunderstand everything. The knight asked how long they would have to watch all this or not, but surprisingly, a woman spoke to him and said that it was none of his business, and if he didn't like something, then no one was keeping him here. These were very correct words, although she herself was not delighted with all these flowers and tenderness. But she still put this man in his place. She allowed her daughter to enjoy the moment. After all, she is already an adult, and it is worth getting used to the fact that she is no longer 5 years old. Everything dragged on for half an hour, and this bouquet is still in her hands. It became special for her, and this is the gift the girl will remember for the rest of her life. Even if in the future she will be given bigger bouquets, this first one will remain in her heart as the most beautiful and the best. She said again how beautiful it was. Thanked him. It was unexpected and very nice. Surprisingly, even Mom looks at this calmly. She is not even angry and really wants to see how it all ends. For some reason, she thought that after that he would go somewhere again. She wanted to say goodbye, but he said that today they would be together all day. And if she wants, they can go somewhere for a walk, because he knows how much she loves it. He even chose a very beautiful place for her. And then Mom started saying that they actually had things to do, and before leaving, they should definitely discuss it with her. Even the knight intervened here. He laughed and said that in fact she already has an adult daughter, and then immediately pretended as if it wasn't him who said it. She thought that maybe he was right, didn't even argue. And Bertham asked why she didn't listen to him when he told her the same thing before. In the end, the woman went about her business. She did not stay there because you can waste the whole day like that. The knight suggests returning to their conversation, and Bertham replied that he doesn't want to, and that should be enough. Then his assistants joined him. They hadn't talked together for a long time and decided to discuss something. Some had planned to return home much earlier. Their families are waiting for them, and they don't like that there are no deadlines, so that they can at least roughly understand how long they will be here. Everyone has some plans. They were promised extra days off, but a whole week has already passed and it's already stressing them out. Because of this, they even started saying that they would soon not be able to stand it and would leave themselves, especially since they had already caught whoever they wanted. And now it was only up to the knight. While they were sorting out their problems there, Anna had already come into the room, found a suitable vase, and put the flowers in water. Then she was getting ready to go somewhere again with her basket. Mom asked where she was going, and Anna answered that it was not far and for a short time. She didn't specifically say the location so that no one would look for her or even try, and after that she wished me a good day and asked me not to be angry. She wants to have a day off today, especially since there shouldn't be many people today and Mom should cope. Meanwhile, she's already catching up with Bertham. The girl quickly collected everything she needed. He didn't have time to go far. It's not clear yet why they didn't leave together, but it is what it is, and for some reason she can't catch up with him. It's as if he deliberately goes further and further away, doesn't notice her, or maybe just doesn't hear her. I had to try. She ran after him, started screaming and asked him to stop, and only after that he noticed her. She was a little upset that it turned out this way, but she tried not to show it so as not to spoil the walk. She suggested that he stop here, right on the flower field. As usual, she had something to eat with her, and he already started offering to pick a new bouquet for her, because yesterday, he really enjoyed doing it. Anna didn't think that this could happen, of course. She's not against it. But she warned that if it takes a lot of time, then he can do it later. He even offered to put together a bouquet, but she said that she was too hungry, and if he insisted, they could do it on the way home. She is very pleased that he pays so much attention to this, and even came up with all of this himself. She didn't even hint at anything. At some point, she notices that today he doesn't talk at all, as if something happened. She immediately asked what was the matter, and he admitted that he felt very awkward in front of them. That company was not going anywhere, and it was all because of him. He will only be able to truly relax when they leave here and leave everyone alone. And if not, then sooner or later he will have to drive them out with his own efforts whether they want it or not. She immediately started screaming that it was very dangerous, that it would only make the situation worse, especially since it could happen that they would call for help, and then they would have big problems. I had to calm her down. He reminded her that those people don't understand the good way. You have to be tough with them, or not at all. He is very pleased that she is worried about him, but still, he is a man and should be able to solve his problems even if it seems that they cannot be solved. After that, they changed the subject. Anna was already laughing and even promised that she would try not to interfere in this matter anymore and would give him complete freedom of action. Meanwhile, they have already returned to the restaurant. A strong wind is rising outside and a heavy rain may start soon. During this time, her mother had already prepared food for everyone. She herself did not notice how she managed to do everything. Today is some kind of special day. Everything works out for her. She also asked everyone to put the food on the tables. After all, they need to rest a little and remember what it's like to delegate. This is her favorite activity. Before, she never did anything herself. And now her daughter constantly runs away and leaves her no choice. Still, she retained some skills. Now the soldiers are peeling potatoes, carrying food to the table, and even helped sweep the floor today. All this time, the knight sits with a dissatisfied face. He doesn't even have an appetite, and that's for the best. Suddenly, he gets so tired that he gives up and goes back. Everyone has been waiting for this moment for a long time. No one even pays attention to him anymore. He just sits in the corner and doesn't bother anyone. Over the past few days, the soldiers have already made friends with the villagers and even met some of the girls. Sometimes they meet them in the evenings, walk together, but not in pairs, but in groups. Even Anna already treats some of them well. She often watches them and laughs at how they have fun. As a result, a lot of people gathered in the restaurant, almost the entire village came, and all thanks to the soldiers who invited them to dinner. Clara is happy, they get a lot of revenue, and people are also happy because their new friends pay for everything for them. There isn't a single free table in the entire restaurant. Everything is taken. Even the neighbor Lara had to come help. She is a waitress today and also didn't go unnoticed. Anna found a couple of minutes to rest a little, accidentally noticed Bertham, who for some reason still was not in a good mood. He's sitting in the corner. Something clearly happened to him, and of course, she couldn't help but notice it. She hadn't seen him so sad for a long time, although he never has emotions, but now he is especially upset. She doesn't even know whether to approach him or not. Suddenly, he will want to leave altogether, just so that no one bothers him. While she was thinking about it, she didn't notice how she fell asleep near her flowers. And in the meantime, the next day came. Today, the guy is in a much better mood. He already gave her some surprise, but he is going to go somewhere. She immediately asked to go with him, but he apologized and said that this time he wouldn't be able to take her with him. He has one very important matter. For this, he even took a horse and left not alone. The girl doesn't understand what's going on. She wants to hope that everything will be okay and that he will come back soon. She had thoughts that those people had secretly agreed with him that he would leave with them, but he would definitely have told her about it and would not have done so. Anna believes that they just left, for example, to compete over whose horse is faster, but something inside her is very worried. She went into the restaurant, asked how she could help, and then there was some kind of conflict. Her mother was already arguing with someone and asked her not to interfere. At some point, out of the blue, a knight comes up to them and it turns out that he hasn't gone anywhere, which means that Anna can relax. While Bertham is away, they all decided to be busy with something useful. The girl's mother got to everyone's task. There was even something for the knight. He was asked to carry several sacks of flour. There were not many of them, but they were very heavy, and they would not have been able to handle it themselves. The guy was so tired that he wanted to rest again, although he had just started, and the woman had a few more things for him to do. When he agreed to help, I didn't think that everything would turn out like this. It's some kind of trap that is impossible to get out of. The girl said that usually Bertham was in his place and that he hardly rested. All day long, he did nothing but listen to her mother and do everything possible to be useful. The guy says that he is not like that. He does not owe them anything here and is not going to do more than he wants. She explained to him that if he didn't help, they could overstrain their backs. And even her mother didn't want to ask Berthama to do anything anymore. He had already done too much. He asked her where all the work comes from, since it's a small village and there aren't that many visitors to work and constantly clean the area, day after day. She replied that they do it for themselves, because when the surroundings are dirty, the territory is not well kept, there is no desire to work, but when everything is clean and tidy, motivation and desire to do something appears. For example, when they have a lot of dirty dishes in the kitchen, they don't even want to go there. But when everything is clean and washed, work brings pleasure. When everything around is perfect, she herself wants to cook something, do something. That's how it works. But it happens that without male help, everything drags on for several days. Huge bags of flour accumulate, which even he and his mother cannot lift normally, let alone carry them somewhere. In the end, the guy just laughed, wished them all the best, and said that he would probably go and rest or eat something. On the way, he meets the girl's mother. She is already unhappy and apparently found a job for him. She was very tired, but she had to continue and he could do just that. And he still doesn't know the main rule that Bertham came up with. When he got to know these people better, he thought that he could just pretend that he was busy with something so that they wouldn't add any more work to him. And usually it worked. As soon as Carla sees that someone is idle or resting, she happily changes it, and no one can refuse her. Meanwhile, a heavy downpour began outside, and everyone quickly began to take off their washed clothes so that they wouldn't get wet again. Anna was very upset, but at the same time, it also means that there is nothing else to do outside. You can calmly go inside and relax. Because of this, she even began to love rain since childhood, especially if it lasts for a very long time or even several days. Now she lies in her room with a clear conscience, but this doesn't mean anything because mom can come up with work inside the house at any moment. And until that happens, she decided to sleep. Otherwise, she would constantly think about Bertham. The girl knows that he is fine, but she is usually very worried and can't do anything about it. She lay there for a very long time trying to fall asleep and didn't notice how it got dark outside. It was already night and the rain was starting to subside. Something is bothering her. It's not giving her peace and she doesn't even know what exactly. She forgot to have dinner, and this is probably one of the reasons why she is so sad. She even forgot to cover herself with a blanket. The room had already gotten cold, but she didn't seem to notice it. At some point, this guy knocked on her door and said that she had something from Lara, and she should read it right now. The girl asked what it was, and for some reason he was crying and couldn't explain anything. She takes this piece of paper. It says, "Hi sister, it's me Laris. It's unexpected, but I'm going to fulfill my love. I'm planning to leave the village and follow a group of knights. As a person who has feelings for the world of Bertham, you should understand me, because you probably felt the same as I do now. The guy says that he also read this letter. He is interested to know who exactly Lara liked. After all, knowing her character, she could fall in love with anyone. It is enough to tell a person that she is very beautiful and the girl will immediately fall in love with him. Anna thought that she needed to talk to her immediately. She felt that this was not true love. Well, or at least they need to check the person because of whom she wants to move to another city. She asked the guy to find out something about it, and she herself approached the knight, but it is not yet clear how he can help her. He was sleeping peacefully, literally opened his eyes for a second and saw Anna in front of him, who was looking at him very intently. In his place, any person would have been scared. He shouted at the whole room and asked why he was doing this, and she didn't even apologize. She told him as it was that her neighbor had fallen in love with one of the soldiers, and when they left, she was going to leave with them. She says it as if she is indignant, but the knight has no idea what he has to do with it. The guy realized that he wouldn't be able to fall asleep. At the very least, she wouldn't leave him. And right next to the window, that guy was loudly crying. He started telling her that this is the business of those two people, and they should not interfere in it. But she does not think so. Anna tries to explain that her friend is too romantic. She perceives any pleasant words in her direction as if it were love and a person's confession of feelings. She knows her too well and wants him to somehow forbid Lover to leave with them. The knight can't take it anymore. He screams at the whole house that he is already tired of helping everyone, especially since he does not understand how she imagines it. Two people fell in love with each other, and he will interfere with them, even without having the right to do so. It's deep night outside, and they've already got ready and seem to have decided to go somewhere. In the end, the girl and that guy went somewhere, and the knight stayed in place. Anna clearly had something in mind. It's unlikely that she wanted to ride a horse so late. She had never done this before, and was also surprised that the knight so easily agreed and provided her with a horse. He probably just wanted her to get off him, and that was the only option. Now he has some time to go back to the room and sleep as much as he can. The guy watches them, but he himself is already swaying from side to side. It is hard for him to stand on his feet. He is so tired that day.